Steve Walsh continued his underdog quest for the Heisman Trophy with an outstanding performance at East Carolina University last week. Walsh threw 4 touchdown passes. The first came in the first quarter, a 31-yarder to Leonard Conley. In the second quarter, Walsh connected with Randy Bethel for a 19-yard touchdown. In the fourth quarter, Walsh had 2 touchdown passes. The first was an 8-yarder to Andre Brown. The second was a 5-yard pass to Rob Chudzinski as Miami beat East Carolina 31-7. For the season, Walsh has 142 completions for 2,034 yards and 23 touchdowns. Leading Heisman contender Troy Aikman of UCLA has 151 completions for 2,025 yards and 20 touchdowns. Today, the Hurricanes continue their climb back to number 1 as they take on the Golden Hurricane of the University of Tulsa. From the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida, Sports Channel Florida presents University of Miami football. Today, the Golden Hurricane of the University of Tulsa take on the national champion Hurricanes of the University of Miami. Hello, everybody, and welcome to University of Miami football. I'm Frank Musser, along with Jim Mandich here at the Orange Bowl in Miami. And Jim Mandich, I don't know, thinking about this football game, might well see 100 points go up on the scoreboard.
You took the words out of my mouth, Frank. I think we might see a 100-point score today. The teams are very much alike. Both average over 300 yards passing. Steve Walsh's counterpart for the Golden Hurricane, T.J. Rubley, is an exceptional quarterback. He's got a great trio of receivers, so he may have 100 points. It may be a 4-hour football game, and I know that we're going to see the ball in the air a lot this afternoon.
The University of Miami secondary will be sorely tested by T.J. Rubley in this football game. On the other hand, though, we understand that here at the last minute, a couple of key offensive linemen for Tulsa have come up either ill or injured, which may mean that Rubley will have to scramble a little bit, which he is not accustomed to doing.
The offensive line is beat up for the Golden Hurricane at Tulsa. That's been a problem for them all year, is getting some cohesiveness in that offensive line. They've got a good fullback. The split receiver, Dan Bitson, is exceptional, as is Eric Harrison, the other wide receiver. I think we're going to see the Golden Hurricane abandoning the running game early on and just try to air it out in a real airfare war against the University of Miami.
Well, when it comes down to that, I've got to think the University of Miami would be rather heavily favored. As I said, though, their secondary has not really been tested that much so far this year. On the other hand, the Hurricanes know that after this game, an off week, and then 3 ranked teams in a row as they try to defend successfully their national championship.
Yeah, but we're going to talk to Jimmy Johnson here shortly, and he will tell you all the focus is on this game. They're thinking Tulsa right now. If Tulsa slips away from them, if they don't get the W on the board today, the final 3 games of the season are meaningless. So they've got to get the job done here this afternoon.
I'm sure Jimmy Johnson would agree with me on that philosophy. You look at today, let tomorrow take care of itself. And speaking of Jimmy Johnson, his game day will begin with Jim Mandich when we come back right after this timeout on Sports Channel Florida.
Hi, this is Jim Mandich. I'm here with head coach Jimmy Johnson on Jimmy Johnson's game day. Coach, there's a lot of Heisman talk swirling these days, and you've got a candidate yourself, Steve Walsh, and we still haven't seen you come out with a real strong endorsement of Steve Walsh for the Heisman Trophy.
Well, I think Steve is as valuable to our football team as any player in the country, and I think, without question, he's deserving of being in contention. A year ago, we did not realize that Steve was going to be in this position, and so Steve and I talked about it this season. We said, here you're a junior this year, and we're going to do everything that we can do to get you in that top rung, and then going into your senior year, we'll make a hard push. But, I really think that the award needs to be won on the field and not with the media and not with the publicity department. That's exactly what we did with Testaverde. Testaverde, we really didn't talk about it a whole lot until the summer before his senior year.
The communication process, the process of getting your defensive calls on the field and also your offensive calls, What is that process exactly? What of your assistants are handling that, and how are you involved?
Well, Jim, what we do throughout the week is we work as a staff, as a total staff and as an offensive and defensive staff in setting up the game plan for the particular ball game. Then we have the coaches, the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator, with some assistants up in the press box. They'll call the plays, they'll call the defenses. That's relayed down to the field by headphones, and I'm standing there with the coaches next to the headphones to where I can catch what play it is or what defense it's going to be, and and possibly have some input at that point. Then it's signaling out to the field of the players. The other thing too, by standing next to the headsets and with the coordinators on the phone, I can, for instance, say tell Gary that we're going to go for it 2 shots. If it's third down and short yardage, he's going to have 2 times to make the first down. Or I can relay to him that we're going to go ahead and punt it or go for the field goal, and so we make those situation decisions right there, and everybody's in constant communication with one another.
You're going to be making those decisions today against one of the most explosive offenses we've seen in some time. They're averaging over 300 yards through the air, and they've got some special people on offense that I'm sure are a concern to you.
Well, T.J. Rubley is an outstanding quarterback. He's tall, 6'4", 200 pounds, throws the ball extremely well. They're in a pro style of offense, very, very similar to what we run here at Miami. And they have outstanding receivers. Bitson is an outstanding receiver. Harrison catches the ball extremely well. So they've got speed at the skill positions. And, they have moved the football. They came very close to beating Arkansas there in Fayetteville early in the season, 30-26. They fumbled the ball in the last minute to lose the ball game. They have scored points. They scored 35 points on Oklahoma State a few weeks ago. And so they can move the football and they can throw it. And so I think our secondary, our defensive backfield, pass defense is going to be really tested. They've tested probably better or more so than we have all year long.
Looking forward to the ball game. Good luck.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Frank Messer and I will be back with the call of today's game in just a moment.
Football and homecoming for the University of Miami Hurricanes. We had some heavy rain here at the Orange Bowl about 30 or 40 minutes ago, but right now bright sunshiny skies as the Hurricanes take the field. Hello again, everybody. I'm Frank Messer along with Jim Mandich as you look at the beautiful downtown Miami skyline in the background, silhouetted against a brilliant blue sky and a bright sunshiny afternoon as the Canes take the field with their game against the Golden Hurricane of the University of Tulsa. The captains are on their way out for the toss of the coin. The Miami captains, number 2, Charles Farms, a defensive back, number 30, Freddie Highsmith, number 34, Tracy Waiters, and number 68, Barry Panville. As we talked in our opening just a few moments ago, Jim Mandich, if both of these teams live up to their potential, we could have 900 yards of offense in this football game and perhaps as many as 100 points up on the scoreboard.
I think it's going to be a very explosive day offensively. It's really going to be a test for the defenses, Frank. The University of Miami averaging over 325 yards a game passing. The Golden Hurricane of Tulsa averaging 303 yards a game passing. I think we're going to see a high-scoring game. I think we're going to see the football in the air maybe 80 or 90 times here this late afternoon.
And one thing we have to remark on right here, as far as the Golden Hurricane of Tulsa is concerned, they are playing without 2 of their bigger and 2 of their best offensive linemen. Jerry Ostrowski is missing the ball game. In fact, he is not even here, suffering mononucleosis. And another big tackle also out. So that could make their quarterback, Rubley, a little bit vulnerable to the guys like Hawkins and Greg Mark, Maryland, and Shane Curry.
Well, they are banged up on the offensive line. They're going to be playing with the substitutes in there for the starters, as you mentioned. That should mean that they're going to go to maybe short drop to protect Rubley, the back out of the backfield. His fullback, Brett Adams, is a guy he likes to hit in the flat. So if that's the case, Frank, I think we're going to see more of a quick passing game by Rubley leading the Golden Hurricane offense attack.
The other offensive lineman I was referring to, injured and not dressed or here, Richard Stevens, a 300-pounder from Felton, Missouri's Northwest High School. But the Golden Hurricane has proved they can put points on the scoreboard. They've also, unfortunately, proven that they can give up points, as they allowed the University of Houston to score 82 points in a ball game not too long ago. But it's a similar offense. Both the quarterbacks drop back passers. And we'll take a look at the season records of the two teams. As far as the history of this series is concerned, they have split their two previous meetings. The last time they met here in Miami, it was, as it is today, homecoming day. Season results for Miami: they defeated Florida State, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Missouri. The one blot on an otherwise perfect record, the 1-point loss to Notre Dame, and Cincinnati and Eastern Carolina also fell rather easily to the Canes. For Tulsa, they have defeated Kansas State, and they also won their last game against UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. In between, they lost to Arkansas, University of Texas, El Paso, Oklahoma State, Louisville, and Houston. But look at some of the points they put up there on the board. That is what impresses me, the fact that this team can score. David Peace is ready to kick off for the University of Tulsa. Randall Hill and Darrell Spencer back, and the kick goes to Hill at the 10, and we're underway. Hill out to the 20, finds a hole to the 30, and crosses the 35 and is brought down on the far side of the field. The first man to hit him was Glenn Murray. When he plays, he is an inside linebacker, but a special team specialist. So the Canes put the ball in play, 1st and 10 at their own 36-yard line as we get underway. Offensively, Walsh has Conley and Gary as setbacks, Brown, Dawkins, and Bethel, his receivers. Randy Bethel getting the start at tight end. Bruce Sullivan, Garcia, Panfil, and O'Neill, the offensive line for the Canes. He starts with Andre Brown split wide out to the left side, passing on 1st down. He throws and completes the pass to Bethel, the tight end, and Bethel is driven out of bounds well into Golden Hurricane territory. Edward Epps, the free safety, came across to drive Bethel out of bounds. Randy getting the start over the injured Chudzinski. Johnson, Bird, Fridrich, and Tarabella defensively for the Golden Hurricane. Derek Williams, Matt Luke, and Glenn Murray are the linebackers, and Barr, Garner, Epps, and Anderson, the defensive secondary. The Canes keep the ball on the ground with Leonard Conley carrying. And he moves the ball across the 45-yard line into the 44. Make it the 44-yard line and call it 2nd and 8 for the University of Miami. Walsh dropping back, throwing right across the middle, intended for Cleveland Gary, and incomplete. Jim Mandage, we talk about Randy Bethel getting the start over Chudzinski, who was injured. Chudzinski with surgery to the knee. Bethel has earned that starting spot.
He's played very well. 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. Chudzinski had arthroscopic knee surgery this week. They hope to have him available for LSU in 2 weeks. Bethel has played extremely well. He brings size at 6'3" and 240 to the position.
Steve Walsh running the Hurricanes at quarterback. 3rd and 8. Walsh back to pass, throwing to the right side, looking for and connecting on the far sideline. Andre Brown, his receiver, knocked out of bounds by Eric Bars, the left corner for the University of Tulsa. And Jim will go right back and take another look at it.
Well, just too much cushion on the far side by Eric Bars. You can see Walsh reading coverage, steps up, throws it in there. Bars 4 or 5 yards out of the picture. That's an easy 1st down for Andre Brown.
1st and 10 inside the 35-yard line at about, let's call it the 33. This time it is Conley zigging and zagging his way across the 30 to the 28 before he is knocked down by the middle of the defensive secondary. And we'll take another look at this play. Epps steps in on the tackle.
Well, the frustration of the rushing attack for the University of Miami continues. They won't be happy with Leonard Conley running sideways like that. They want him running north-south.
Looked like he was trying to find a hole, pick a hole, and perhaps got the most out of it he could. Gain of 3, it'll be 2nd and 7. Receivers right side, but they carry the ball on the left side, and Conley again across the 25 and knocked out at the 24. Craig Anderson, the right corner, a 6-foot junior from St. Petersburg, Florida, and Derek Williams, the right side linebacker, came in to make the...
They had all the receivers off to the right here. They give it to Conley. They're running behind Darren Bruce, Mike Sullivan, and the big tight end, Randy Bethel. That's a good job of running the football by Leonard.
3rd and 1 at the 23.
It'll be 3rd and about a yard. The football just short of the 23-yard line. There are the setbacks, Conley and Cleveland Gary. Walsh checking off at the line of scrimmage. Walsh giving to Gary, and he does not get the first down. In fact, he is thrown for a loss of about a yard. Now, Jim Mandich, you brought up something a moment ago. Derek Williams made that tackle. You brought up something a moment ago about Walsh as he reads the defense. So important for a quarterback and so much overlooked by so many observers.
He's reading before the snap. He's reading as he's dropping back. He makes his determination. Very well coached by Gary Stevens and Jimmy Johnson as to where he should go. Go where they're not. Very simple formula in football, but nobody is better than Steve Walsh at that.
Huerta with a 43-yard field goal attempt. The ball is spotted down. It is kicked, a floater, and it is no good. That was not one of Huerta's better kicks. So we remain scoreless as they change over, and the Golden Hurricane will take over on offense. Well, you know, you talk about quarterbacks, you look at their statistics, it's how many passes they've completed, how many touchdowns they have thrown for, how many times they've been intercepted, and so forth. But it is so important for that quarterback to know what play to call and be able to check off effectively at the line. And Walsh, I'll tell you, is one of the best I've ever seen in college for that. Rubley at quarterback for the University of Tulsa. And they keep the ball on the ground as he gives to number 43, Brett Adams, his fullback, for the first carry. Adams tries the right side and runs right into Russell, Maryland. The offensive line backfield, Rubley has Beasley and Adams as his setbacks. Harrison, Bitson, and Treat was supposed to start. Brian Kane, Chris Kaiser on the left side, Chris Fancher at center, Wes McCallum and Chris Hilberth on the right side offensively. However, they are not starting Treat. They are starting instead 3 flankers. That flip out to the left side to James Chandler. And Chandler is driven out of bounds and brought down at the 25-yard line by Randy Shannon. Hurricanes defensively have Hawkins, Curry, Maryland, and Mark up front. The linebackers are Randy Shannon, Bernard Clark, and Rod Carter. And in the secondary, Ellis, Hardin, Farms, and McDowell. Again, McDowell at right corner, and that has been one of the big moves this year for the Hurricane coaching staff. Taking McDowell from safety, putting him at the corner, where he has been more, really, than effective. Back to pass. Oh, Mark almost had him, and the pass is incomplete, intended for Brett Adams. Boy, Greg Mark really broke through, didn't he, Jim?
Absolutely. He's untouched there. You can see Greg Mark coming from the right of the screen. He's untouched. I believe the center has got the responsibility there. You can see him grabbing for air. Rubley throws it out. He's lucky it wasn't intercepted by the Hurricane defender.
So it brings up the punting situation. Danny Phelps gets his foot into the football and waiting for it to come down. Darrell Spencer. Spencer gets away from one tackler and moves the ball up to the 40-yard line and is driven out of bounds on the far side of the field. Timeout on the field. No score in the football game. We'll be right back after this commercial timeout. A 43-yard kick by Danny Phelps, a 9-yard return by the Canes, and here we go, 1st and 10 for Miami. Carrying the football and moving to the left side to the 45-yard line. That is Lenny Williams to upend Leonard Conley. Lenny meets Lenny, and Glenny helps out. Glenn being Murray, a middle linebacker.
The most effective front for the Hurricanes are running to their left side. Conley does a good job of splattering with it, breaks the first tackle, gets good plus yardage on first down.
He drove right into Lenny Williams, who slowed him down. They keep it on the ground again, this time to Cleveland Gary, and I'll tell you, the Golden Hurricane has the Miami running game early in the game pretty well diagnosed. Matt Luke this time, a left side linebacker in on the tackle. Number 58, Luke, a junior, 226-pounder from Kankakee, Illinois.
I think what we've seen on the Hurricane rushing attack is the backs are giving up on the hole, Frank. They've got to stay with it, have confidence in the offensive line. They're trying to splatter too quickly, and they get caught going sideways.
9:30 left to go in the first quarter. Receivers right and left. Walsh throws left to Hill, incomplete. And broken up by number 27, Craig Anderson, a junior corner from St. Petersburg, Florida.
On field, the punt for the Hurricanes.
This is just great defense by Anderson. Walsh is looking right. He comes back, tries to hit Randall Hill on the eye cut. Looking at Anderson, get his hand in there, and look at Randall Hill get punished after the knockdown.
Tim Kalal in punt formation, standing at the Hurricanes' 30-yard line. He'll get the kick away from about the 33 or 4. From the 35, beautiful kick. Fair catch is called for, and the ball goes into the end zone. That time it was Frank Cassano calling for the fair catch, letting the football go, and they'll bring it out and put it in play at the 20. Great kick by Kalal. I'll tell you, we talk about the ball carriers, the passing, and so forth. The kicking game Jim managed for the Hurricanes has, I think, been outstanding this year with Huerta and Kalal.
Very pleasant surprise for Jimmy Johnson. We talked to him about it last week, particularly Huerta, who came in as a walk-on from Columbus High School in Miami and has made several big kicks for the Hurricanes this year.
Ribley will put the ball in play on the Golden Hurricane 20. And the ball is batted down by, looked like Greg Mark or Russell Maryland. It was Maryland got his paw up there and knocked the ball down. That's got to be frustrating for a quarterback.
Well, I think this formation on first down tells you the Golden Hurricanes is going to throw the ball. They're in 4 wides right here. They try to get it into Piston, and of course you can see that it was frustrating to get it knocked down on the line of scrimmage.
Russell Maryland, 6'2", 272 pounds worth, out of Whitney Young High School in Chicago. Ribley 1 out of 3 for -2 yards in this football game. On the year, of course, he has done very, very well. Completion percentage of .526. Dropping back. Oh, look at that. He's hit, knocked down, and now falls down at the 16-yard line. And that time it was Jimmy Jones who went crashing through. Jimmy Jones putting pressure on and knocking him down. Here it is again.
Well, nobody touches Jimmy Jones right here. You can see the left tackle, Brian Kane, who's in there for the injured Ostrowski, and that's going to be a problem for the Golden Hurricanes all afternoon. This is a mismatch, that front for the Golden Hurricanes against Miami's veteran front. And that was a blown assignment. Jimmy Jones with a direct shot on Ruble.
John lost on the play back to the 16-yard line. And again, the pressure is on. He gets the pass away and incomplete. Intended for Brett Adams, his fullback. And again, Jones putting pressure on. So the Canes have held the Hurricane deep in Tulsa territory. And number 15, Danny Phelps, comes on again to punt. Here it is. That
Tulsa going to a little gimmickry here. They try to do the shovel pass to Brett Adams, and the throw hits him on his hip. Some of our viewers might think that's a fumble, but that's a forward pass.
Phelps gets a low snap from center, gets the kick away, and Spencer drops the ball. But I believe he has recovered and has. It's Miami's football. What there is what has perturbed and disturbed Jimmy Johnson all year long.
That late afternoon sun here in the Orange Bowl can be a factor, Frank. You can see Spencer quick to get at it, but it's Fred Highsmith who comes up with it for Miami.
All right, Highsmith recovering, saving the day in that situation for the Hurricanes. 1st and 10 at their own 39-yard line. Walt pitches out to Cleveland Gary, swinging to the left side. He's got running room down the sideline. Puts his shoulder in to Edward Epps. Before Epps is able to bring him down, he has crossed into Tulsa territory. We'll look at it from behind the goal line.
This is great running by Cleveland Gary. I'll tell you what makes it, though, a great block by Andre Brown. You're going to see Craig Anderson on the ground. That's what enables Gary to turn the corner, punish the defender for extra yardage, and get the first down.
We're watching Cleveland Gary's feet just as if he had radar in his shoes as he danced just inside the sideline. Walsh still has it, back to pass, throwing and completing to Hill. Randall Hill making the catch in front of Craig Anderson.
I'll tell you what makes this. You see that little fake on the draw action? That holds Derek Williams, the outside linebacker, and you can see he's just a half step short as Walsh lays it over to Randall Hill. Perfect execution of that pass catch.
College football, you need only 1 foot inbound. Steve Walsh, 3 out of 5 for 46 yards, and we have a little better than 8 minutes remaining to be played here in the first quarter. No score. Walsh gives this time to Leonard Conley. There he goes north and south, Jim Mandich. Craig Anderson ran him down and put him down, but there was that north-south run by the young tailback.
Absolutely. I'd like to see more of this. The coaches would like to see more of this. This is the sprint draw, the most effective running play in the Hurricanes' arsenal. Conley does an excellent job.
Well, I tell you, he accelerates in a hurry. It's 1st and 10 at the 16-yard line. Canes are knocking on the door. Hill left side, Andre Brown to the right side. And the Golden Hurricane may have been drawn offsides by Darren Bruce. Bruce is the one who moved the left tackle. We'll see. It will go against the Canes. So Bruce did move and draw the Hurricane offsides. There he is.
Clearly Darren Bruce.
That'll be 1st and 15 at the 21, just about the 22-yard line, really.
This is the green zone right here, Frank. They like to throw it in the end zone right here, particularly on first down. We see split backs. Let's see what they do.
Brown to the right side, Hill to the left side. And he gives it to Cleveland Gary. Gary zigzags, he may go all the way. He is knocked down at the 1-yard line, just short of the goal. Cleveland Gary finally brought down by Edward Epps. That was some fancy running there by the big fullback.
Yeah, there was some fancy running, but there's a holding call going against Miami. That's too bad because Derek Williams, the outside linebacker, left a piece of his clothing on the field there when Cleveland Gary juked him.
Well, the penalty again against the Hurricanes. I started to say a moment ago, if it sounds confusing, I'll try to keep away from both nicknames. The Miami Hurricanes and the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Now the ball is... Spots the ball at the 21-yard line. 1st and 15 for Miami at the Tulsa 21.5. Again, Brown left, Hill left, Brown right. And Walsh this time to pass. Pressured, throws, incomplete. A lot of pressure put on him that time by number 97, Darrell Ellison, the right side linebacker.
Good defensive call by the Golden Hurricane. They went to a 3 deep here. You can see he wants to go to Bethel down the middle. His second choice is the O-cut outside to Andre Brown. Walsh didn't have enough time right there to set his back throwing foot, step up and throw the pass.
Yeah, I think his second thought was to get rid of that football. You know, Walsh has not been sacked all year. In fact, the offensive line has allowed only 1 sack all season. That was Erickson. Throwing this time for Andre. He's got it and falls down and will be marked down at the 12-yard line. The field is wet. We talked about the rain we had earlier.
Come right back with the O-cut to Andre Brown. This time the timing is much better on the numbers, but the grass is a little bit wet out there from some rain we had earlier today. Andre Brown unable to hold his feet.
Substitution as they bring in number 90, Mike Rawson, a defensive end for the Tulsa team. Walsh back to pass, looking left, throwing left. He's got Hill over there, and he makes the catch at the... No, incomplete. No good. Intended for Randall Hill with Craig Anderson defending from his right cornerback defensive spot.
This ball just hangs up in the air a little bit too much, a little bit of a floater. That gives Craig Anderson, the cornerback on that side, enough time to get back into it and strip Randall Hill.
That young man from St. Petersburg has been on a lot of plays defensively for Tulsa so far in this football game. Huerta will try again. He missed a 42-yarder earlier in the football game. This will be a 29-yard attempt. This one looks a lot better, and it is good. So Huerta puts it through, and the Hurricanes of Miami are on the scoreboard. 3-0, Miami out in front on Carlos Huerta's field goal. Well, you mentioned, Jim Maddox, the fact that Huerta was a walk-on. We'll talk about him when we come back. Right now, a little Hurricane history. What is the Hurricane record for total yards in a season? That's for the team. We'll have the answer when we come back right after this. Well, the Hurricane record for total yards in a season, what is it? You said long about 3 miles. You're going to be very close to right. 5,367 yards in 1984.
Or if you had guessed 500 times 11, which was a pretty successful offense for the Hurricanes over the last 5 years, you would have been pretty close.
That is to kick off for the Canes. Kicking deep and taken at the 3-yard line by Tulsa, bringing the ball out and upended as he crosses the 20-yard line. Anthony Hamlet made the tackle. Here's the return.
Vincent is the best athlete on the team. He is a guy that really had the Hurricane coaches, the University of Miami, that is, excited in terms of a guy who really had them concerned in defending him. He is the big play man in the Tulsa offense.
And just a sophomore. He's got 2 more years to play at Tulsa if he so desires. Ripley back to pass, incomplete. Intended for that same man, Vincent. Well, the scoring drive for the Canes, 7 plays covering 49 yards, 1 minute 17 seconds, and climaxed by Huerta's 29-yard field goal. Well, Jim Maddox, we thought we'd have a high-scoring football game, but so far the defense has outshone the offense.
I'm a little concerned right now for the University of Miami. This offensive team for Tulsa can score. They need to get it in gear pretty quickly.
They keep the ball on the ground. The flag is thrown as Brett Adams carried the ball straight up the middle. Rod Carter made the tackle for the University of Miami. And the Miami Hurricanes were offsides on the play. So the referee, Mike Dober, will talk things over with Rubley. And we'll see the Hurricanes. I believe they lined up offside right there, Jim Mandich.
You can see his head. He's in the neutral zone right there. The flag went up immediately. That was the left tackle, Russell Maryland.
It'll be 2nd and 5 as Tulsa takes the penalty. The ball advanced to the 27-yard line. 2nd down and 5. Delayed handoff to number 30. Or rather, number 20, Curtis Gooden, a freshman, stopped by Russell Maryland after a short yardage gain. Dave Rader is the head coach of the Golden Hurricane of Tulsa, the youngest coach in Division 1A at the age of 31. He's won 2 and lost 5 this year. And on the other side of the field, Jimmy Johnson of the University of Miami. Second and 5. Rubley looks like a broken play. Finally gives the ball to Gooden. He's going to be thrown for a loss. Gooden is thrown for a deep loss by number 23, Robert Bailey. Robert Bailey, just a sophomore from Southridge High School right here in Miami. Dogging Gooden and dropped him for a long loss. This is a broken play, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. His tailback, Curtis Gooden, went the wrong way, and he tried to recover. Rubley was able to locate him and get him the ball, but Robert Bailey, who is the nickelback in that situation, made a big tackle.
Danny Phelps to punt for Tulsa. Had a fair catch at the 45-yard line by Darrell Spencer. Tulsa so far in this football game has minus 13 yards of offense. Minus 13 yards. Jimmy Johnson's record at the University of Miami, 47 wins and 9 losses. And Jim Mandich, Jimmy Johnson finally getting the national recognition that he has deserved for a long, long time.
He is one of the great coaches in college football. He's won 38 out of his last 39 regular season games, 22 straight here in the Orange Bowl.
First and 10 for the Canes at their own 45. Walsh has time, throws it out to Gary. Gary's got blockers, gets into Tulsa territory, and is driven out of bounds at the 42-yard line. Chris Briscoe came across to drive Cleveland Gary out of bounds. Gary, the leading rusher for the Hurricanes, coming into this football game, averaging 4.3 yards a carry.
This is a great call, great execution. They've been in a zone. They're afraid that the University of Miami is going to go deep on them. They let the linebackers drop off and then lay it off to Cleveland Gary on the screen pass. Great execution.
Cleveland Gary not only leads the Canes in rushing, he also leads them in pass reception yardage. Walsh looking the other way for Gary again, throwing to the right side, but that time overthrowing, incomplete, as Lee Durham out of Houston, Texas, was defending on the play. Steve Walsh's 23 touchdown passes, third best in University of Miami history. The record is 26 by Testaverde.
And Steve is on a roll. He's at 17 in the last 4 games. He is really playing with a lot of confidence right now, and he is clearly the leader on the Hurricane offense.
He could surpass that record in this football game yet this afternoon. 4 minutes plus left to go in the first quarter. There's one complete to Bethel. Randy carries the ball to the 35-yard line. Richard Wales, a left side linebacker, there to make the tackle for Tulsa.
This is called a DV. They let the back clear out, and the tight end comes in underneath. Randy Bethel makes a good catch. He gets clotheslined right there. Richard Wales, nice tackle.
Ball spotted down at the 35-yard line. 3rd and 3. 2 receivers left, 1 right. Obvious passing situation, and Walsh will throw the football. A bullet right down the middle to Dennis Kelleher. Kelleher had come in, replacing Randy Bethel, and Kelleher. Well, Bethel was still in there. They had both tight ends in. Boy, that was a bullet.
That was a good read by Good read. You can see Kelleher. He initiates contact right there with the inside linebacker, finds a little crease in the zone. He knows how much yardage he needs for the first down. He lunges, and they're moving the chain.
1st and 10 at the 30. Canes lead by a score of 3-0. On a delay, the ball goes to Alex Johnson. Johnson is brought down at the 25-yard line. Earl Johnson brings down Alex Johnson. Lenny Williams also in defensively for Tulsa. Alex Johnson, a sophomore from Homestead. For those of you not familiar with our area, Homestead just south of the city of Miami. 5-yard gain, 2nd and 5 for the Hurricanes at the Tulsa 25. Walsh reads the defense. Pitches to Alex Johnson. Johnson finds a hole and gets in for the first down to the 15-yard line. The flag is thrown. A late penalty marker is thrown. Lenny Williams, the strong safety, made the tackle. And a late flag is thrown, and let's see what it's all about. The chains will move. It will be first down for the University of Miami. Out of the I formation.
Out of the I formation, John O'Neill. You can see him, the right tackle, doing a great job. Then, of course, Alex Johnson. You can see the hand ruled an inadvertent, not a blatant call. That's why the 5 yards was marked off.
1st and 10 at the 11-yard line. Canes leading 3-0 and definitely threatening. The pitch is to Alex Johnson, and he is driven out of bounds on the far side of the field. Bars, the left corner, Eric Bars, sophomore out of Houston, made the play. You know, you look at this Tulsa team and see a lot of freshmen and sophomores in the football game this afternoon, which bodes well for the future of the Golden Hurricane. Ball spotted at the 7. Miami leading 3-0. 2:55 left to go in the first quarter. Still early in this football game. Walsh looking left, throwing left, incomplete, overthrowing Cleveland Gary. Got his right hand up, but could not contain the football. Craig Anderson defending from his right cornerback spot.
I thought he might try to get it into his tight end there. The middle of the field is wide open. Walsh elects to go for Cleveland Gary. That's always a good decision. Just a little bit overthrown. Gary just off his fingertips. See him in the end zone there for what would have been a touchdown.
Gary averaging 13.4 yards per catch coming into this football game. The leading receiver with 41 receptions for 3 touchdowns. Third down for the game. Again looking left, throwing, and no good. Intended this time for Alex Johnson. And again, the coverage provided by Lee Durham.
Well, this is just a pick play right here. The inside receiver going in, the outside receiver going out. Or vice versa, the inside receiver going out, the outside receiver going in. And again, Steve Walsh just slightly off the money. He's not really sharp this afternoon.
Walsh looking to the sidelines, but the kicking team has not come on, so the Canes will go for it on 4th and 6 with the ball at the 7-yard line. Walsh gave a long look over to his coach, Jimmy Johnson. Now Andre Brown splits out to the left side. Walsh back to pass, looking into the end zone, has pressure and has to throw it away, but a flag is down. A penalty marker is down. Bitterly complaining to one of the officials, you'll see Cleveland Gary. And let's see what the flag is all about. It was a 4th down play. Holding against Tulsa.
I'm pretty sure it's Dennis Kelleher, the tight end, number 88. You can see him right there at the bottom of the screen. They literally knock him on the ground, number 88. And there you see the yellow flag going down. What do you think about that call, Frank? Jimmy Johnson must really have felt he needed to do something to get his team going right now, because the play thus far has been very lethargic.
You know, you took the word right out of my mouth, and how many times would you take the word lethargic out of anybody's mouth? Exactly. You know, it scares me sometimes. We're starting to think alike.
Well, that scares me if you and I think a lot alike.
Yeah, Miami has 9 first downs. Tulsa has yet to register a first down. This is 4th down. And Walsh throwing, it is batted around, incomplete. And the ball will go over to Tulsa with Craig Anderson, the defensive back, batting the ball away from Cleveland Gary. Timeout on the field. We'll be back with a score. Miami 3, Tulsa nothing. Now this timeout on Sports Channel Florida. One thing about it, Jim Mandich, Tulsa has been unable to move the football at all. So they take it over deep in their own territory at the 7-yard line. Ribley in a quarterback. Back to now. He hands off and gives to his fullback, number 43, Brett Adams. Adams is stopped by Rod Carter, but he gets him out from the shadow of the goalpost anyway, out to about the 10-yard line, a gain of 3.
They make the decision down there to go for it on 4th and 2. Speaks as much to his confidence in his offense as it does his confidence in his defense. He thinks his defense is going to shut him down right here on 3 and out.
All right, they split Dan Bitson out to the left side. 2 receivers out to the right side. 1 setback behind Ribley, and he keeps the ball on the ground, picks up a yard on the play with Brett Adams carrying. Bill Hawkins, a finalist in the voting for the Lombardi Trophy, by the way. Bill Hawkins, senior defensive end out of South Broward High School, made the tackle. Miami with 151 yards. Tulsa has -4 in the football game. We still have 1:40 left to go in the first quarter. Now splitting out to the right side, Marcus McVay as a flanker. On the left side, it's Eric Harrison. And on the option, the pitch, they keep the ball on the ground. They got the first down, and running hard with the football, Curtis Gooden, a freshman. Maurice Crum in to make the tackle, along with Donnie Ellison.
This is beautiful execution. You can see the option. Rubley reading it down the line. A good block right there. Curtis Gooden hits that slot upfield. That's the best offensive running play for the Golden Hurricane this afternoon.
Curtis Gooden, just a freshman, playing behind James Chandler for the most part. So it is 1st and 10 for the Golden Hurricane. Rubley keeps the ball on the ground to Gooden again. This time he is thrown for a loss. Rod Carter, I'll get in on the tackle. Boy, hadn't Rod Carter, not that there was anything wrong except his injury earlier in the year, but hasn't he really come around and made his presence known?
Well, watch this flash right here, number 91. Rod Carter. He is so good in the middle there. He replaced the leading tackler on the team, Bernard Tiger Clark.
Rod Carter, a senior, Fort Lauderdale High School product. Looks like a checkoff by Rubley. He resets one of his setbacks, Marcus McVeigh. In motion left side, illegal motion as the pass is thrown incomplete. That was illegal procedure on the part of Tulsa, without a doubt, perhaps something else. But they have been a little bit confused, have the Golden Hurricane. Illegal procedure.
I think they were trying to get an audible out that time. It looked like Miami was getting into their defense, the blitz alignment. Rubley was trying to get it out to the wide receivers, and he just ran out of time.
Dave Rader, the 31-year-old head coach of the Golden Hurricane. 2nd and 11. Miami declined the penalty, make it 3rd and 11. The Canes take the down and not the penalty. 3rd and 11 at the 29-yard line. Now splitting out to the right side, we have James Chandler along with Eric Harrison. In motion goes number 14, Marcus McVeigh. Rubley has plenty of time and throws and completes at the 50-yard line. Very fine pass that time by Rubley to Dan Bitson, his favorite receiver. And the ball will be spotted just across the 50 in Hurricanes territory. Charles Farms made the tackle.
You scout the Golden Hurricanes, the guy they go to in the tough 3rd down situation right there, Dan Biston. The key to that also was the pass protection by the offensive line. That's the first opportunity that Rubley has had a chance to read the coverage, step up, and throw the ball.
And now with the quarter ended, the teams change sides. They won't have to move the football but 2 yards as it is at the 49-yard line. End of the first quarter, Miami leads 3-0. We'll be right back. Averaging 21 yards per catch for 6 touchdowns. 747 total yards. He is split well out to the left side. 2 receivers out to the right side, no tight end, and they keep the ball on the ground with the ball carrier Donnie Maloney, the tailback, and he got maybe 2 yards. Maurice Crum along with Greg Mark in on the tackle for the University of Miami.
See great gang tackling. There's a little bit of a counter action. You can see both guards pulling, trying to get out in front of it. Maurice Crum turns it inside. Rod Carter with the first hit, Greg Mark, and then a host of orange jerseys putting the hat on the Golden Hurricane ball carrier.
Maloney, a senior from Chickasha, Oklahoma, the last ball carrier. 3 receivers out to the right side this time. Dropping back, Rubley looking right, lofting one out. It is incomplete. And that time, I think his intended receiver had to be Donnie Maloney. He just sort of floated that ball out, but well over Maloney's head.
And there's a flag on the field. And in most of these circumstances, in a screen that is that slow to set up, I'm pretty sure you're going to see a lineman downfield on that.
You're exactly right, Mr. Bandage. Illegal receiver, or illegal lineman downfield. So signaled by referee Mike Dover. The rest of the officiating crew, the umpires Tommy Rose, linesman Bobby McGrath, the field judge Mike Looney, the line judge is Dave Carnegie, The side judge is Rick Eichhorst, and the back judge is Kent Henry.
Miami 46.
Third down and 7 yards to go. The ball at the University of Miami 46.5-yard line. Out to the right side go Harrison and McVeigh. Vincent to the left side. Still with the football, Rubley on the option. He'll carry himself 40, and he goes into a slide, which will take him to the 37-yard line. He went into his slide just after he picked up first down yardage out of pretty heads-up play by Rubley.
Well, imagine you're a pro scout right now. You've seen this guy's arm so far, T.J. Rubley. Now watch his feet. Watch him run. You've got to bear in mind, Rubley is 6'4", 205 pounds. You see a special athlete right there. He is a big-time player.
Rubley's only a sophomore. He's from Davenport, Iowa's West High School. Back to pass again. Nobody near him, and he throws the ball away. Throws it away over the head of Donnie Maloney. I can't give the quote word for word, but the essence of it was from Jimmy Johnson when he talked about T.J. Rubley, Jim Mandich. He said he's the kind of quarterback we should have at the University of Miami.
He doesn't think that right now because he didn't throw that ball out of bounds. He threw a lateral. You see him marching off 8 yards from the line of scrimmage. That was a very poor decision by Rubley.
This time they will break McVeigh and Bitson both to the left side on 2nd and 19. They keep the ball on the ground to the fullback, Brett Adams, and the sophomore from Edmond, Oklahoma, gets very little, if anything. He runs into Greg Mark and Russell Maryland, and you're not going to run over those people.
Well, Russell Maryland plays with Dan McIntyre like a rag doll, throws him aside, takes his mark on the Golden Hurricane carrier, and throws him for a loss.
You say takes his mark, you mean he takes Greg Mark? Mark rode him down like he was bulldozing a steer. I wouldn't be surprised if Mark could bring down most any steer in the world. Tulsa will take a timeout. We'll take timeout. We'll be back. Miami leads 3-0. The broadcast rights to this game have been granted to Sports Channel by the University of Miami solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any reproduction or other use of this program without consent of Sports Channel Florida is prohibited. I think that time, I tell you right now, Jim Mandich, I think Tulsa has to do something to stop being completely demoralized in this football game.
Well, they had a pretty good drive going here, and then you mentioned they completely have self-destructed here. They're facing a 3rd and 21 situation. Those are the kind of situations you don't want to be in against this great Hurricane defense.
James Chandler splits left along with Eric Harrison, and they send in motion Marcus McVeigh. Toss over the middle to Adams, the fullback, and he will not have the first down, although he picks up good yardage before Maurice Crum out of Hillsborough High School in Tampa, Florida, runs him down and puts him down.
Well, I thought Rubley was going to get crucified here. You can see Bill Hawkins coming from the backside, but he gets it off to his fullback, Brett Adams, who came into the game with 23 catches. Good open field running there by Brett Adams. Gets him into a 4th and 4 situation.
There again, Adams, only a sophomore from Edmond, Oklahoma. 5'11", 214-pound fullback. They're going for it on 4th and 4. Canes dig in to try to stop him and take the football over. And they they do have the first down. It was Donnie Maloney carrying. Maurice Crum made the tackle, but from my vantage point, I think Maloney made the first down for Tulsa.
That's clearly a first down, Frank. I think they're going to bring that. They're just moving the chains right now. They're not even going to measure.
Right. There's the referee, Mike Dober, of the Southern Independent Collegiate Officials Association, making the call.
We've seen 2 crucial 3rd down situations. 3rd and short, they've run the option both times. This time they come to the left side Randy Shannon makes a bad decision. They run up inside of him, and they get the first down.
Donnie Maloney, one of the few seniors on the field for the Golden Hurricane, got the first down. Now it is Adams, the sophomore, carrying across the 25 to the 24-yard line. Maurice Crum put the stopper on him. Bernard Clark also went on the play.
This University of Miami football team better wake up. I can tell you this much. Jimmy Johnson is going to read him a riot act at halftime, Frank.
And now Tulsa brings a lot of speed into the game as they take the bulk out, put the speed in. Putting two receivers out to the right side, one to the left side. And there's a fumble. Does Miami have it? Looks like the Hurricanes recover. Maurice Crum will come up hugging the football. Well, let's see. Crum and Bill Hawkins. I think Hawkins had it. Crum fell on it. Hawkins fell on Crum, and Hawkins comes out of the pileup with the fumble recovery. Let's look at it again.
Well, it never gets in Rubley's hands. The center quarterback exchange. He's got a veteran center there, Chris Fancher. You can see Bill Hawkins just come in there and take the ball away.
Brian Kane had an opportunity to recover for Tulsa. That's their first turnover, the first turnover of the football game. But I don't think Kane saw the football. Now Miami comes out with Crowell carrying to the right side, stopped by Glenn Murray, the middle linebacker out of Claremore, Oklahoma. Shannon Crowell. Crowell, a sophomore from Mays High in Atlanta, Georgia. Give him 2 yards on the play and call it 2nd and 8, just short of the 25-yard line. Miami leading 3-0 with 10:50 left to go in the first half. Walsh checking off. Plenty of time. Good protection. Throws incomplete. Looks like Andre Brown may have broken the wrong way, or at least the quarterback Walsh threw the wrong way. Brown broke back toward the middle, and Walsh threw outside.
Well, Tulsa shows blitz. They get Miami to check into their blitz check off, and then they come back into a zone. The pattern did not match the coverage. Walsh didn't have a lot of area to get the ball in there to Andre Brown. I think that's why he threw it behind him.
Darrell Ellison, a defensive end, leaves the field for Tulsa. Miami spreads out. Two receivers out to the left side. Walsh looking, and he connects with Andre Brown at the 43-yard line. Downtown Andre Brown is downed by Edward Epps.
Again, they show blitz. You can see the linebackers backing out. Glenn Murray, I thought he was going to intercept this for Tulsa. Walsh finds Andre Brown, and then makes a great catch. There wasn't enough room to throw that football in. You could have thrown that football through the eye of a needle, Frank.
Excellent pass by Walsh. He still got the football, has Steve Walsh. He throws, and intercepted by Eric Bars. Bars brought down as he gets back to the 50-yard line. Alex Johnson made the tackle. That pass was intended for Dale Dawkins, and we'll look at it again.
Well, we'll look at it. There's a flag down on the field right now. The deflection, Dale Dawkins should have had that. I think he had some problems with that defender who was going to say hello to him. Eric Bars, a sophomore, having a fine game thus far.
Right now, the football is resting at the 50-yard line. It will be moved back, perhaps a clipping on the run back to the 35-yard line. It will still be Tulsa football. 15-yard penalty, but Tulsa retains possession. 1st and 10 at the Golden Hurricane 35. Two receivers left side, one to the right, two setbacks behind Rubley. Rubley back to pass. Hawkins pressuring him. Rubley gets away. Jimmy Jones after him. He throws into a crowd. Intercepted by the University of Miami with Maurice Crum picking the football up. So on the exchange, Miami will gain quite a bit of yardage.
This is a terrible decision by Rubley. He's running left. He tries to throw it back right. He should have just taken the sack. He throws it. Maurice Crum comes up with it. Let me tell you something about Maurice Crum, the most offensive-minded defender they have. In high school, as a senior, Frank, he scored 6 touchdowns as a defensive player.
Wow. Some guys will go through their entire careers, high school, college, and the pros, without scoring a touchdown as a defensive player. Oh, Miami's football. Walsh has it. Plenty of time to throw. Wobbly pass and complete to Bethel for the team. Randy Bethel, touchdown. Walsh had all the time in the world to throw that. When you saw Bethel backpedaling as he waited for the football to get to him and danced it into the end zone.
Well, they fake the draw action. You can see Bethel off to the right of the screen. That freezes his man. They suck everybody else off underneath, and Walsh finds Bethel. As you say, he's wide open. That's his 4th touchdown in the last 3 games. Pretty good substitution for Chudzinski.
Outstanding. Huerta's kick is good. And the University of Miami goes out in front by a score of 10-0. 9:45 left to go in the football game, and time for Hurricane history. What is the Miami record for passing yardage in a season? Do you know? Well, give me the answer, and we'll give you the answer right after this timeout. Well, if you said 1984, which you should have if you got the last trivia question correct, you were right. 1984, 3,826 passing yards. That was the season. The Canes gained 5,367 total yards. Edgar Bennis to kick off for the University of Miami. Bennis does the kicking off while Huerta kicks for the extra point. And let's see, Danny Phelps back deep along with it looks like James Chandler. Kick into the end zone, and it's going to be brought out. Carrying the ball out, Dan Bitson. And Bitson across the 15, gets out close to the 20, and is brought down right at the 20-yard line. One of those in on the tackle was Derek Golden. Walsh, and he's not talking to his folks out in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'll guarantee you that.
He's talking to Gary Stevens upstairs. Gary is the offensive coordinator, rumored to be a candidate for several head coaching jobs that are sure to become available across the country.
First and 10 to the 20 for the University of Tulsa. Miami leading 10-0. Rubley a quarterback for the Golden Hurricane, dropping back to pass on first down. Being chased, gets it away, and the pass is completed to Monty Rice. And Rice is brought down by Bubba McDowell. 1 yard, 33, one play, 33 yards. Time of possession, 8 seconds for the University of Miami's scoring touchdown. Bethel on the 33-yard reception. Bubba McDowell in defensively on the last play for the University of Miami. Second down and 10 yards to go for Tulsa. Looks like Rubley's checking off again. Throws over the middle, and it is incomplete. Incomplete. McDowell broke it up. It was intended for Eric Harrison, a senior from Bristow, Oklahoma.
Well, we've seen the payoff of Bubba McDowell moving to cornerback week after week. There you can see him putting the big hit on Eric Harrison on the iPad.
Adam McDowell didn't do it. Robert Bailey was right there to help things out. Bailey has come out of the football game now. Rubley 4 out of 12 for only 36 yards. Rubley looking, throwing right side, completing, but not for a whole lot there, short of the first down. Pass is caught by Archie Malloy, a sophomore from Colorado Springs, and there again, Bubba McDowell. That'll force the punting situation, 4th down and about 2 yards to go for Tulsa. And it brings in Danny Phelps to do the kicking. Danny Phelps, sophomore from Lakeland, Florida's Lake Gibson High School. Fair catch executed at the 37-yard line by Darrell Spencer. And at that point, the Canes will put the ball in play. 36-yard punt for Phelps. Spencer does once in a while get a little playing time other than kick returns, but not a whole lot, as you saw him come to the sidelines along with number 80 Derek Golden. Walsh checked the defense and checked off. He's got Brown split to the right side, pitches to Conley, and Conley gets a few yards. Glenn Murray, the middle linebacker out of Claremont, Oklahoma, made the tackle.
High formation, first down. Shannon Crowell trying to get the block there. Not much there running room there for Leonard Conley on the first down situation. Again, stringing it out, running too much side to side and not upfield.
He got a couple of yards, make it 2nd and 8. Andre Brown to the right side again. And Walsh gives the ball right up the middle this time to Crowell, and Crowell crosses the 40, gains maybe 3 yards on the play to the 42-yard line. And it's going to be 3rd down and 5. Lenny Williams in on the tackle for Tulsa, a junior from Wagoner, Oklahoma. Third and 5 yards to go at the 43-yard line. Two receivers out to the right side. At that time, they had Crowell in the slot. Walsh still has the football, throws to Andre Brown. It should be, it will be a first down. Andre Brown at the 49-yard line has the first down for the University of Miami. Andre Brown, a senior from Pinker High School in Chicago. And there's a young man, Jim Madich, who has been very patient. Well, I presume he's been very patient throughout his career here at the University of Miami. And all of a sudden now as a senior, getting a chance for a lot of playing time.
He had an opportunity to learn from some great ones.
On the ground, this time it is Conley, and Conley gains some yardage, about 6 yards, as he gets the ball to the 44. Glenn Murray and Lenny Williams in on the tackle.
The best play in the arsenal, the sprint draw, countering, coming back this side. You can see just the great speed and acceleration. That play was actually contained by the Golden Hurricane. Watch Conley just outrun him to the corner here. He's tough once he's in the open field. Good first down play.
All right, 2nd and 4 for the University of Miami at the 45-yard line of Tulsa. And again, it will be Conley, and this time thrown for a loss. He bounced off of one tackler. And Darrell Ellison came in from his defensive right end position to put the stopper on him.
You see what Rod Holder sees. Rod Holder with a knee injury trying to get some playing time. They're trying to get back in the lineup. He got stuffed on that play, and so did his tailback, Leonard Conley.
I'm sure Jimmy Johnson would like the experience of Rod Holder back for the final 3 games of the season. LSU down in Baton Rouge, which is always a tough place to play the next game for the Canes. 2 receivers right side, Bethel and Dawkins, and that'll be the first time this year that Walsh is sacked. And the sack by Derek Williams. Walsh is sacked for the first time this season. For exclusive coverage of the NBA's newest franchise, join Sports Channel Florida for Miami Heat basketball. On Wednesday, November 9th at 8:30, the Heat travel to San Antonio to face the Spurs. Friday night, November 11th at 7:30, the Heat takes on the Houston Rockets live from the Miami Arena. Catch all the exciting NBA action only on Sports Channel Florida. So we talk about the Heat, and there's the kick.
Poor decision here. The guy who snapped it, Mike Azer, first one down on the kicking team. He smothers.
Well,
There's Azer. That's a real thrill for the center.
I've got to think so. He doesn't get that much playing time. Snaps he snaps on kicking situations now. Rubley throws, and it is completed. A nice catch by Donnie Maloney. Maurice Crum made the tackle for Miami.
Donnie Maloney, little draw action, freezes the linebacker. You can get it right over the top of Maurice Crum. You can see Maurice trying to get back in the play, and Tiger Clark. That's a great play on first down. The linebackers have to bite on that fake.
Eric Miller comes in as a defensive lineman for the University of Miami. First and 10. Rubley giving the ball off as they run the ball on the ground with number 29, Dan Bitson. On the end-around play, Bernard Clark made the tackle. They got very little on that.
Bubba McDowell was mad at himself that he missed the tackle, but he really made the play. He contained it. He turned it inside. That's a whale of a job having Bitson coming dancing around the corner at you.
Second and 10 at the 30. Miami leading by a score of 10-0. Bitson, the man in motion. Rubley throws and incomplete. Intended for Donnie Maloney again.
We're going to see an interference call on that one. I think Maurice Crum was either holding Maloney or interfered with him, trying to make the catch.
Maloney and Crum and Clark were both there defensively. And it is pass interference. Good call, Jim Mandich. Perhaps we'll take another look at it right
I think
here.
he read his lips. Look at the left-hand side of the screen. You can see Maloney can't get out. He's getting knocked to the ground.
Looked like Bernard Clark, right?
Well, no, I think it actually happened on the line of scrimmage. It was a little bit out of our view there.
First and 10 for Tulsa. The football at the Tulsa 33-yard line. Rubley has gone all the way quarterback for the Golden Hurricane. Two receivers right side as he is checked off. On a draw, he keeps the ball on the ground. They get about 3 yards on the play with Brett Adams carrying on the fullback draw and Jimmy Jones making the tackle for the University of Miami.
Jimmy Jones, look at his vision. He's looking right at Adams right there. Takes that left tackle like a rag doll, throws him off, comes back in, smothers Adams. Excellent play. Jimmy Jones, much improved from the beginning of the year when he was in Jimmy Johnson's doghouse. Beaten
out early this year by Russell Maryland, but he's playing with an inspiration right now. They send in motion James Chandler, and he's sacked. He is sacked as Randy Shannon came blitzing through to knock him down. Randy Shannon, number 22.
You can see it. Shannon is in the sprinter's blocks on the top of the screen. You're going to see a blur right here. He's got Rubley in his sights. He nails him. That's a dream come true for any blitzing linebacker.
And let's hear it for Norland High School. Randy Shannon, a Miami lad out of Norland. Tulsa 3 out of 8 in third down conversion attempts. They got a 3rd and 15 right now out of the I formation. 2 receivers right. One man in motion to the left side is Archie Malloy. So Rubley brings him out. That is their 4th conversion as he finds his favorite target, Dan Bitson. And Charlie Farms makes the tackle. But Rubley comes up with a big one.
Well, this is a mismatch for the University of Miami. They were concerned about having Charles Farms one-on-one with Bitson, and that's what they have here in this situation. Bitson, he's covered very well by Charles Farms, but that's something that Tulsa will exploit every time they see it.
Maurice Crum was drifting back with Bitson, and Farms came in to make the tackle. First down for Tulsa, and the throw over the middle to the fullback, Adams. Complete fumble. Who has it? Miami's football. The Hurricanes have recovered. And let's watch them unpile. Looked like it might have been Maurice Crum with the football. Maurice Crum credited with the recovery. Bernard Clark knocked it loose, and Crum fell on it. Let's watch it again.
Well, I told you how offensive-minded Maurice Crum was. You didn't have to tell me who was going to be at the bottom of the pile. He came up with an interception earlier. There's the strip. You see Maurice Crum coming in right there. There's 5 orange jerseys, but number 49 finds a way to come out on top of the ball.
I thought Shane Curry was ready to fall on it. Crum just crawled right under him to get it. On first down, the pass complete to Cleveland Gary. And Cleveland Gary dropped at the 44-yard line by Richard Wales, a sophomore.
2-minute offense in place right now.
1:09 left to go in the half. Miami leading 10-0. Football game much lower scoring than we anticipated. Walsh throwing and complete again, this time to Randy Bethel at midfield. He is driven back, but they'll spot the football at the 50-yard line. Let's take a quick timeout. We'll be right back. Miami leads 10-0. Game against Tulsa. Miami leads 10-0 with a little less than a minute to play in the first half. The University of Miami has next weekend off, but then they have 3 ranked teams they have to meet. Louisiana State in Baton Rouge, and then Arkansas and Brigham Young, both here at the Orange Bowl. When I say 3 ranked teams, Brigham Young, I believe this week, is number 20 in the nation. So all 3 of those clubs are ranked football teams, Jim Mandich, and work is cut out for Jimmy Johnson and his crew.
Certainly is. 2 weeks from now, they go to LSU, always a tough place to play. Then they come back and play Jimmy's alma mater, as you mentioned, Arkansas. Lots of work ahead of them. Can't say enough about the quality of the University of Miami schedule. Before the end of this year, they'll play 6 top 20 teams.
Miami's schedule has been rated 6th toughest in the country by the NCAA News. We'll talk about that more. There is a completion right down the middle to Kelleher. Dennis Kelleher taking Walsh's pass, and the ball will be spotted down at the Tulsa 37-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Canes. 49 seconds in the half. Try to put another one on the board before they go in for the intermission. And it is caught and incomplete. It is complete to Conley, and he goes out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Conley on the reception. Miami opened with the preseason number 1 ranked team, Florida State. They played 6 bowl teams: FSU, Michigan, Notre Dame, LSU, Arkansas, and Brigham Young.
They don't have to make any alibis about the quality of their schedule. They've taken on the tough teams. They've taken tough teams on the road.
Walsh back to pass. Going to the end zone for Dawkins. No good. Just barely overthrown as Dawkins leaped for it and could not come down with it. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson has repeatedly pointed out to members of the media the schedule that his 11 has faced this year.
We can see Steve Walsh reading the coverage, then he sees Dawkins, and he's got him. Dawkins tries to lay out for it right off the fingertips.
Well, he had Epps beaten that time, did Dawkins. Throwing again, this time for Dawkins. It is complete at the 20. 30 seconds left on the clock. Bars made the stop. 1st and 10 for Miami. The football inside the 20 at the 19-yard line. Here it is again.
This is the deep out pattern. Great hands by Dale Dawkins. Comes down with his feet inbounds, and that puts him in the green zone. Inside the 20-yard line, you're going to get a lot of man-to-man coverage.
30 seconds left. Walsh looking again. Plenty of time. He throws and incomplete. No good. Intended for Kelleher. He had it, dropped it, grabbed it back again, but incomplete.
A mistake by the scoreboard operator here. He continued to run that clock down on the incompleted pass, and I think Miami lost about 14 seconds. Of course, that's not the official clock.
Walsh 15 of 27 for 182 yards and 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and he has been sacked 1 time. They'll get the clock reset as the officials have their conference. It now shows 16 seconds. I would say it should be about 23, 24 seconds. You're looking at the scoreboard. That's the open end of the field. You're looking east right now. And if you look far enough past that, you would have the downtown Miami skyline at sunset here in Miami, Florida. Well, the clock still shows 16 seconds. They have two options here. They can reset the scoreboard clock or just keep the time on the field. Now an official timeout has been called as Johnson chats with the officials on the sidelines. And a timeout has been called by the University of Tulsa. So with 16 seconds left to go in the first half, Miami leads Tulsa by a score of 10-0. Miami, as we said, concludes its season with games against three teams with a combined record, Jim Mandich, of 20 wins and 3 losses. LSU is 5-2 as of today. Arkansas 8-0, and Brigham Young 7-1. So that is a lot of work for the Hurricanes after a weekend off next weekend.
They have their hands full. Interestingly enough, Pick'em Day is next Saturday, the 19th, and 2 weeks. The Pick'em Day will be 2 weeks from now, but the Hurricanes' next game, interestingly, the Hurricanes will have 3 games after Pick'em, so it's going to be a pretty tough decision for some bowl team.
You know, I disagree with a lot of things, and I probably shouldn't, because the people that make these decisions, I'm sure, are a lot smarter than I am. But why do you have Pick'em Day with teams in contention still with 3 games to play after the bowl pick?
And I guess they would say we've got to cut it off at some point, particularly with the elongation of the college football season.
Well, I still don't understand. Why do they have to cut it off at some point? Why can't they wait till the season is over and then make their picks? I guess because teams are committed to certain bowls. They have tie-ins with different conferences now. Oh, well.
They're still trying to iron out this scoreboard problem. I think that's a little short count for the Hurricanes with 22 seconds, but they're going to go with it.
Well, I'll buy that. I think I said 22 before myself. So there are 22 seconds on the clock. Walsh. A lot of protection. Throwing and touchdown to Conley. Leonard Conley. So the scoreboard clock becomes incidental right now as Conley is all open in the end zone and takes Walsh's touchdown pass.
This is a very sophisticated Miami attack. They send 4 guys out in the pattern, and Conley just gets lost in the corner of the end zone, sitting there all by himself. And there's the referee signifying touchdown Miami.
So the Canes leading 16-0. Werder will try to make it 17, and he does. So we have 17 seconds left to play here in the first half, and the Hurricanes of the University of Miami are out in front of the Golden Hurricane of Tulsa by a score of 17-0.
Hi, this is Lou Holtz, head football coach at the University of Notre Dame, inviting you to join Tom Denham and myself right here on this station to watch the Lou Holtz Show. We'll be starting our 3rd year, and I hope you'll join us.
Picked up at the 10, out to the 20. They may not get another playoff from scrimmage as Bitson dances around. Flag goes down as Bitson is tackled by Farms at the 25-yard line. Clock shows 12 seconds, so Tulsa will have time for a couple of plays. We'll see what the penalty flag is all about. The officials have their meeting. But I can't recall in the years when I was a voter or selector in that it came down to the point whether a man was a senior, junior, or sophomore would have affected my voting anyway, or should have affected anybody's, and really it should not. Tulsa with 6 first downs. Miami has 15 first downs in the football game. Who's the only lineman? Quick Quick trivia, Jim Mandich. Who was the only lineman ever to win the Heisman Trophy?
Leon Hart, Notre Dame,
all right.
1948.
Good. Quick answer. We didn't rehearse that either. Just came to mind. Football is spotted inside the 10 at the 9-yard line, where Tulsa will put it in play. First and 10, 12 seconds on the clock. Miami leading 17-0. The Heisman Trophy, much coveted.
T.J. Rubley right there. He is a definite pro prospect. The Miami coaches refer to him as a big-time player, a quarterback they would like to have for their program. And you know the kind of quarterbacks that have come through the University of Miami in the last 6 or 8 years. I'm talking about the likes of Jim Kelly, Vinny Testaverde, Bernie Kosar, and now Steve Walsh.
Rubley is out of Davenport, Iowa. He's just a sophomore. Started last year for the Golden Hurricane. They finally get the ball spotted at the 12. This could be the last play of the first half, as the Golden Hurricane, with Adams carrying, tackled by Russell Maryland, content to let the clock run out on one running play. So the first half ends, but don't go away. That is just a half of it. The score, Miami 17, Tulsa nothing. We'll be right back. We're back at the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida, where the Hurricanes of Miami lead the Golden Hurricane of Tulsa 17-0. I'm Frank Musser along with Jim Mandich. And, Jim, we only have 83 more points to go somewhere. We said we probably have 100 points scored in this football game.
Just like we called it. We said it was going to be a 100-point game. And I'll tell you, the University of Miami defense has been outstanding. They've done a great job of shutting down T.J. Rubley, who's an outstanding quarterback. And towards the end of the second quarter, we saw the Miami offense starting to get into gear.
And I'll tell you something. The Tulsa defense has not done too bad a job against the Miami Hurricanes as well in this football game.
Well, Miami really has scored as out of turnovers by the University of Tulsa. The score to Bethel, the 33-yard touchdown, a product of a turnover.
All right, let's take a look at some of the scoring in the first half. And first of all, we'll have the Carlos Huerta field goal. This young man, a walk-on, has just made such much difference in this football team. There it is, 3-0. And now you talked about the pass to Randy Bethel. I think we'll see it right here.
Yeah, this is after the interception by Maurice Crum. Bethel just gets wide open in the corner of the end zone here, the southeast corner. You can see him backing in the end zone. He's just saying, come here, baby, hit me right in the numbers, and he rolls in for the touchdown.
That's his fourth touchdown catch of the year, and now a touchdown to Leonard Conley.
Yeah, same end zone, same corner, just the number changes. Here's number 28, Walsh. Kind of freezes the free safety by looking in the middle of the field right there. And you can see Leonard Conley make the big catch. Referee signals touchdown Miami.
And that's it, 17-0. And let's look at the halftime statistics. Yards rushing, Tulsa 18, Miami 73. Yards passing, the Hurricanes 201 and Tulsa 94. Total yardage 112 for the Golden Hurricane and 274 yards for the University of Miami. So in what was touted as a tune-up game for the Hurricanes' final 3 games of the season against ranked opponents, I'll tell you, they've had their hands pretty well full of Tulsa Golden Hurricane here in the first half.
Well, one, Tulsa has played very well, but we used the word lethargic earlier, and I think it applies. And right now at halftime, I guarantee you, Jimmy Johnson is down there in the locker room. He is letting them know he is not satisfied with their caliber of play in the first half. You're going to see a different Hurricane team here in the second half.
And we'll be back with the second half kickoff right after this timeout on Sports Channel Florida. Now we're ready for the second half kickoff here at the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. The University of Miami leading Tulsa 17-0 as we get set for the second half. And we'll see if the offense takes over a little more here in the second half as you look at Edgar Bennis getting the football teed up. Bennis does the kicking off for the University of Miami. Edgar, a junior, out of Miami Beach High School right here in Miami Beach, Florida. The Hurricanes scoring on a pair of touchdown passes. Walsh 33 yards to Bethel. Walsh also to Conley. And a field goal by Carlos Guerra. Deep for the Golden Hurricane. There are your receivers. Number 29 for the Tulsa Hurricanes is Dan Bitson. And also back in deep formation is Ron Beasley. Well, Ben is ready to kick it off under the watchful eye there of Hurley Brown. Hurricanes leading 17-0. And here we go in the second half. Beasley backed him. Yeah, he's going to try to bring it out. He gets out to the 20, and a good decision. I have my doubts there. A bit of hesitation, but then he decided to bring it out and brought it out, got it just across the 20-yard line. So the Golden Hurricane will put the football in play. And we'll watch Beasley bring the ball back again. Looked like he was being told to down it in the end zone by Craig Jones, but here he comes.
I'm not so sure that's such a wise decision. You risk a turnover there to gain 1 yard.
Hurley Brown was down there quickly for the University of Miami. So 1st and 10. Back to pass. Rubley on first down. And incomplete. Intended for Dan Bitson. Dan Bitson, number 29, a sophomore, and he's playing right at home. He's a native of Tulsa, Oklahoma. We were talking about Rubley before. Yes, folks out in Rubley's hometown of Davenport, Iowa, to name a quarterback at Davenport West High School anytime back through recent history, and they will say Rubley. Rubley, though, I believe this young man is the last of the brothers to play quarterback at Davenport West High School. They had that position dominated for many, many, many years. He throws, and what a catch. What a catch by Bitson. Looked like he caught that bullet one-handed, and Rod Carter there to stop him. Good play.
Well, he's their big play man, but Rod Carter's got this diagnosed. He sees Bitson going across in front of us. He makes a stop on second down for a short gain of 5 yards. They'll give him that on second down all day.
Rod Carter, a senior out of Fort Lauderdale High School. Rubley now 9 out of 18 in the passing department for 99 yards. Miami leading 17-0. The man in motion offense. Rubley still has the football, being chased by Jimmy Jones. Gets away, still being chased, and now throws it out of bounds. Well over the head of any intended receiver. And the closest man to the play there would have been Brett Adams, the fullback. Jimmy Johnson on the sideline, sending his kick receiving team in. That is a punting situation for the University of Tulsa.
I'm not so sure he wasn't jaw-boning the referees there, too, Frank, looking for a intentional grounding call.
Very seldom do you see an intentional grounding when the ball is thrown out of bounds.
He knows that. You know that. I know that. He still was jaw-boning.
Phelps gets the kick away. The Hurricanes will let it bounce. It takes a Tulsa bounce inside the 40-yard line as Spencer elected to let the ball hit the ground. And the only danger in a situation like that, a 33-yard kick, the only danger in a situation like that, Jim Mandich, how many times have you seen it happen? That ball will take a bounce, hit somebody on the receiving team, be recovered by the kicking team for a first down.
Absolutely. That is the risk.
I don't like that play at all. You either catch the ball on a fair catch or clear everybody out of the way. Anyhow, Miami's football at their own 39-yard line. And this will be Conley. Conley getting up to near midfield and maybe just short of the midfield marker before he is brought down by Lenny Williams. Walsh 16 out of 28 for 201 yards, a pair of touchdowns. He's been intercepted once, and he was sacked in the first half for the first time this year. Ball spotted at the 48-yard line. The Hurricanes need about a yard for a first down. And it'll be Conley again, and he just bounces off tacklers there, bounces back. across the 50. First man to hit him was Matt Luke, an outside linebacker, and here it is again.
High formation. You see Cleveland Gary going through the hole first, trying to seal off the linebacker. Leonard Conley doing a good job of reading the blocking in front of him and getting the first down.
He just went down and squirmed his way for the first down as he got the ball to the 48-yard line of Tulsa. Hill and Andre Brown split out to the right side. Walsh is looking that way. He's throwing for Hill. Long pass downfield. No good. Hill defended all the way down by Eric Bars.
Well, you see Walsh reading it. He's going to Hill all the way on the takeoff. Eric Bars is in good shape, though. He's running stride for stride with Randall Hill. A little bit of an underthrow. Sometimes we see an interference call on that. I think Randall was a little slow to recognize the ball was underthrown.
See both men hit the ground down there. Sometimes they'll do that hoping to get an interference call. All right, Walsh again. This time he gives the football to Cleveland Gary. Spins away from tacklers and gets good yardage. Not enough for the first down, but he turned that play into something. Epps, number 23, Edward Epps, made the tackle, and he is paid for it. He is injured on the play. Epps is down and injured for the University of Tulsa as the medical people come out to take a look at him. We'll take a timeout right here with Miami leading 17, and I think we'll be right back after this.
In the heartland, people know what it means to reach for a dream. That's where Old Style is brewed. Brewed not to be the biggest beer in America, just the best. Reach for the best. Old Style beer.
There is Epps, Edward Epps, a senior from Del City, Oklahoma. The free safety leaving under his own power and favoring the left knee just a bit. And here's where he gets hurt, tackling Cleveland Gary.
The split draw. You can see Epps right there getting the hit. Grass is a little loose. Cleveland Gary lost his footing. He might still be running.
The give again to Cleveland Gary, and he does not get the first down. He is hit and driven backwards. He ran into Matt Luke and Derek Williams, the two outside linebackers. Williams 214 pounds and Luke 226. So they put their combined 440 pounds on Cleveland Gary and stopped him.
This is going to be a heck of a field goal try right here. Spotting it at the 48, Frank.
Yeah.
Could be a school record shot.
58-yard field goal attempt by Carlos Huerta. Has he got the distance? No. It is short and no good. Officially, it'll go down as a 57-yard field goal attempt. Tim Kalal has become the holder on field goals as well as the punter for the University of Miami. So Carlos Huerta's attempt is no good. Miami still leads 17-0. A lot of thunderheads building up in the fading twilight here at the Orange Bowl in Miami. Ball goes over to the Golden Hurricane at the Tulsa 41-yard line. Carrying on the first play, Donnie Maloney that is, and Rod Carter. Carter's had quite a day defensively for the University of Miami. There's that sky I was talking about. You see a lot of thunderheads building up. Some of them really right overhead, and that view is looking down toward the city of Miami.
You can also see the lights of the Miami Arena, the Miami Heat, in their first ball game this Saturday night.
Running out to the left side is Eric Harrison. Also coming wide to the left side, Donnie Maloney. 2 setbacks behind T.J. Rubley, and he takes too much time, I believe, whistle blows.
Frank, I have only one question. How did the Houston Cougars score 75 points in 3 quarters against this Tulsa defense? They're giving the University of Miami all they can handle this afternoon.
They really are. That was really, well, not unbelievable, because we know it happened. Houston wound up winning with 82 points in that football game. Tulsa has been penalized 5 times for 39 yards. Miami 4 times for 23 yards. High formation, 2 receivers left side, 1 right, and a man in motion is number 18, Archie Malloy. Rubley lobs one over the middle, incomplete, and almost intercepted. It was intended for Adams, the fullback. And there was Rod Carter again with almost a chance to intercept. Well, the University of Miami cheerleaders exhorting the homecoming fans here at the Orange Bowl, a crowd in the neighborhood of 40,000. We have not received an official count on the attendance. The Hurricanes have 2 more home games, playing Arkansas and Brigham Young, both here at the Orange Bowl later on this season. Rubley dropping straight back, looking right, throwing right. And a completion to the 47-yard line to Archie Malloy, sophomore from Colorado Springs, and Maurice Crum all over Malloy whenever he catches the ball.
Maurice Crum might be the best one-on-one tackler on the Miami defense. This is a tough assignment. A linebacker tackling a nifty-footed wide receiver in a situation like that. That's an excellent tackling.
There is the kick, and Spencer at the 20-yard line advances it to the 22, and then is driven back again. Sonny Ross on the tackle for Tulsa for the shoulder pad out of the jersey of Darrell Spencer. So the Canes at the 20-yard line. That's where they'll spot it down, and that's where Walsh will put the ball in play as Jimmy Johnson marches the sideline. First and 10 for the Canes. Walsh pitches out to Cleveland Gary across the line of scrimmage, 25, and is danced out of bounds by Eric Bars. Eric Bars, the left corner, has seen a lot of action defensively this afternoon for Tulsa. Earl Johnson, a defensive end, goes out of the football game as the Hurricanes huddle back inside their 20-yard line. Hurricanes lead 17-0 in a surprisingly low-scoring football game. 2nd and 5. Walsh looking left. All the time in the world, throws, and it is complete at the 33-yard line. Garner coming in to make the tackle as the pass is completed to Hill, Randall Hill.
They bring Randall from the outside underneath the coverage, the zone. He does a good job of catching the ball with his hands, getting upfield, getting enough yardage for the first down.
1st and 10 at the 33. The Hurricanes are leading by a score of 17-0. Hill splits out to the right side. Andre Brown also to the right side. Walsh throwing down the middle, wobbly pass incomplete. He did not have much on that pass, and we've seen that happen a couple of times in this football game. Randy Bethel, the intended receiver, and Anderson, Craig Anderson, the right cornerback, defending on the play.
This is the Texas pattern that you're going to see coming up on your screen. Texas meaning crossing pattern. Everybody's crossing. Randy Bethel crossing from left to right. You're right. When Walsh double pumped on that, he had all the weight on the front foot, and when he came back, he couldn't put any zip on the ball.
Andre Brown to the right side, Hill to the left. They keep the ball on the ground, going so good yardage for the Hurricanes. Briscoe came up to make the tackle, and let's take another look at this run by Leonard Cochran.
Sprint draw again. You can see him. They lose right there, and there's Leonard in the open field. This has got to be a great game to boost his confidence. He's been a little down on himself, but this has been his most effective game here in 1988 for the University of Miami Hurricanes.
He gained 34 yards on that play. He now has carried 11 times for 80 yards in this football game and has a chance for a 100-yard game. This time the pass completed again to Leonard Conley as he takes one out of the air and is brought down at the 28-yard line by Matt Luke. Well, Conley not only carrying for yardage, but catching passes for yardage, Jim.
Walsh just taking what the defense is giving him. They're dropping off. They're in the zone coverage is Tulsa, so you've got to take that underneath stuff. You can't be impatient and try to go over the top.
The drive is carried down inside the 30 on the ground, so the Canes can get maybe a yard or two before Earl Johnson, defensive right end, puts his body in there to stop Cleveland Gary. Cleveland Gary, a senior from South Fork High School in Indiantown, Florida. Good size for a ball carrier, 6'2", 226 pounds. Ball on the 25-yard line, third and short yardage, about 2 yards to go. Walsh gives it to Conley, and Conley dives to the 21. Bars makes the stop, and a penalty marker has been thrown on the play. I saw a flag go from the sidelines, or at least I thought. I know there it is on the edge of the field.
Came from the line judge on this side. I'd speculate we've got a holding call coming up front. Illegal procedure, the call.
Well, the call goes against the Hurricanes. Miami leading by a score of 17-0. That is the 5th time the Hurricanes have been penalized. Tulsa also drawing 5 penalties, but 11 more yards in penalties for Tulsa, 39-28 for Jimmy Johnson's men. What were the Hurricanes penalized at East Carolina last week? 18 times, the school record. Jimmy Johnson not too happy as you look at him on the sideline.
He's talking to the refs right there, saying hello. How's your mom and dad?
How or who? Back to pass Walsh. Going down the middle deep, and it is caught for the touchdown. Randy Bethel. Randy Bethel playing for the injured Kaczynski catches his second touchdown pass of the football game. And here it is again, Jim.
And if this man first started playing tight end this August, Walsh looks off the weak safety there. That accounts for how wide open Randy Bethel is. Again, catching a touchdown, backing into the end zone. 5 touchdowns for the big tight end in the last 3 ball games.
Breaking away from Eric Bars, he was. Carlos Huerta for the extra point. It is perfect. And the University of Miami has now built up a 24-0 lead over Tulsa with 7:15 left to play in the 3rd quarter. And now, is it time for Hurricane history? It is. Who holds the Miami record for kickoff return yardage in a single season? We'll have the answer when we come back right after this timeout. We'll be right back. Miami leading 24-0. The Miami record for kickoff return yardage in a single season? Well, it happened last year, and the record is held by Randall Hill, 497 yards in 1987. Hill hadn't had a chance to return a kickoff this afternoon. Yeah, I guess he did. The game-opening kickoff was received by Miami. Since then, all the scoring has been the Hurricanes. Venice puts his toe into it, and it's going to be brought out again out of the end zone. Bitson with the football, and he is brought down short of the 20-yard line. Charlie Farms downfield to make the tackle. I always feel, as we look at some of the fans here on homecoming for the University of Miami, that if you return a kick from the end zone and don't get as far as the 20-yard line, I count it a loss. 80 yards on 7 plays for Miami in the last touchdown drive, 2 minutes and 47 seconds. I consider anything Past the 20-yard line certainly has a plus, but anything short has a minus, because you will get the ball at the 20 otherwise. Ridley back to pass on first down, swings one out to his fullback, who drops the football. That was Brett Adams. Had it, juggled it, and lost it.
And he should have had it. Set up nicely. I think we're going to see the Golden Hurricane of Tulsa right now, Frank, abandon the running game. They're down 24-0. We saw them get into a double slot formation that time on first down from their own 20-yard line. I think they're saying to themselves right now, if we're going to get back into this ball game, we're going to have to throw the ball.
Miami with 379 yards, Tulsa 128. McVay swings out wide to the left side. And Rubley throws over the middle and completes this time to Adams. Greg Mark makes the tackle for the University of Miami. And there again, Miami will get them that completion all afternoon long or all evening long, as the case may be.
This is just a great play by Greg Mark. He's supposed to be rushing the passer, but he recognizes the pattern. He picks up the fullback coming out of the backfield. That's a defensive end, 6'4", 240, running down the fullback. Great play by Greg Mark.
Greg Mark's out of Pennsauken, New Jersey High School. 3rd down and 5 for Tulsa. Rubley's pass this time is incomplete, intended for Bitson on the far side, with Maurice Crump following Bitson step for step down the sideline. And there you have a linebacker staying with the fleet-footed flanker.
Well, Miami is smelling shutout right now. Look at Maurice Crump. Look at him gain ground there. That's called makeup speed. That's an excellent athlete right there, Maurice Crump. Makes more big plays than anybody on the defense.
Danny Phelps gets the kick away, backpedaling, and taking the ball inside his own 40, Darrell Spencer, and he's dropped immediately. Ball will be spotted down at the 38-yard line. They have not had much return yardage on kicks today, have the Hurricanes. A 41-yard kick, and they will credit Spencer with a couple of yards on the return. 1st and 10 for the Hurricanes at their own 38-yard line. That is Leonard Conley swinging wide left, getting inside the Tulsa 40-yard line. I believe I see a flag down over there. Epps chased him out of bounds.
Great job. Look at Conley accelerate to the corner. Watch Andre Brown get the block on the cornerback right there. That enables Conley to get to the corner, get upfield, shoulders parallel to the goal line. He's hitting it better than... He's hitting that run better than any time this year.
Conley has passed the century mark in yardage, now with 104 yards gained rushing in this football game. Penalty marker thrown as Cleveland Gary carries the football for a yard or two. Glenn Murray is the tackler for Tulsa, but a penalty marker has been thrown on this play. The officials discussing the situation. Mike Sullivan over there for the University of Miami, listening to the officials talk it over. Miami is leading 24-0 over the Golden Hurricane of Tulsa. 5:45 left to go in the 3rd quarter. I'm Frank Musser along with Jim Mandich. Flipping against Miami.
I see Derek Williams going out of the game. He was involved with some fisticuffs
Personal foul.
with Baron Bruce.
Personal foul against Tulsa and clipping against Miami. As you mentioned, the fisticuffs.
I think he may be getting thrown out of the ball game, Frank. Talking about Derek Williams, the outside linebacker, number 40.
Well, the referee goes over to talk to the Tulsa coach, Dave Rader. The referee being Mike Dober. And has Williams been thrown out of the football game or not? Derek Williams, number 40 at outside linebackers, sophomore from Levittown, Pennsylvania's Harry S. Truman High School. There he is. So he may have been excused from further play in this football game. I say may have been. I did not see a definite sign from the referee. Clipping Miami. Personal foul and an expulsion. There's the sign that Williams has been expelled from the football game.
Well, what we saw there was a clipping and 2 personal fouls. One called against Miami, one called against Tulsa. Thus the marking off the yardage against the University of Miami by way of the clipping call.
Well, Jimmy Johnson not too happy about it. The ball would be spotted down at the Tulsa 49-yard line. Now, with Derek Williams being thrown out of the game for Tulsa, there was not a Miami player that was ejected that I could see.
He was involved in the fisticuffs with Darren Bruce, number 52, the Hurricane left offensive tackle.
Well, Bruce is still out there, so he stays in the ball game. Senior from Buena Park, California.
I think the referees made a qualitative decision then that Williams' fisticuffs were much more violent than Darren Bruce fisticuffs. Well, what do you think about that one, Frank?
I like that. A qualitative. That is a word you did not take off my tongue. I was not thinking about qualitative. In fact, Jimmy Johnson is still not happy with the ruling of the officials.
I think Jimmy is a little unclear that there was a personal foul called on both sides. Now they've got to tell Dave Rader what's going on.
Well, they've moved the football again, meanwhile, and have now put it down at the Miami 49-yard line. It was resting at the Tulsa 49-yard line a moment ago. It will be first down, and let's see, 10, 20, 1, 2, 23 yards. First and 23. Now they're going to move the football again.
Well, I think it's clearer now. The personal foul marked off only against the Tulsa Ball Club, not against the University of Miami. And in that case, we have 2 penalties that nullify one another.
I think that's there. You've just seen a coach win an argument with the referee, or with an official. I shouldn't single out the referee. Jimmy Johnson has won the argument. The ball is now spotted down at the Tulsa 36-yard line. And it will be first down and about 8 yards to go. And again, we do not have the ball marked ready for play. Now Mike Dover says, we are all set, gentlemen, let's play football. And I think that would be a unanimous yes vote from those in the stands. Automatic first down. Now we have it all clarified. An automatic first down for the University of Miami. And carrying the football, Leonard Conley carrying tacklers with a good drive by Conley. And what a game he's having. Finally brought down by Glenn Murray, the middle linebacker, but not before he gets inside the 25-yard line to the 23.
Conley spectacular. Watch the counter action right here. Conley splatters it across the formation, makes the cut upfield. That's great individual effort. What can you say?
He broke the tackle of Matt Luke, who had him by the jersey, and gained yardage after that. So it's first and 10 for Miami at the 23-yard line of Tulsa. Swing pass out to Conley and incomplete. That time he threw it behind Conley. Earl Johnson putting pressure on for Tulsa. Walsh throwing really behind Conley that time, and no chance for the young man to make the catch.
I think it's actually a blessing that it was thrown behind Conley here, because Earl Johnson was in better position to make the catch than was Conley. You see him right there. He diagnosed the play perfectly.
You're right. Johnson, a senior defensive end from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Brown and Hill split out to the left side. Kelleher, the tight end, to the right side, and penalty flags are thrown again. This time it'll be against Tulsa. as Cleveland Gary turned cheerleader for just a moment.
I think Mike Sullivan, number 79, left guard, got a little anxious on that play, moved forward a little bit. That initiated the
let's take another look at it.
defensive line there for Tulsa. You can see.
Yep, number 79, Mike Sullivan. Rain has started falling here at the Orange Bowl. We've had rain off and on for much of the day, and now it is on again. Miami leading 24-0 with 4:47 left to go in the third quarter. Walsh back to pass. Long one left side, and it is incomplete. No good. Intended for Andre Brown. And Craig Anderson defending from his right cornerback spot. Andre Brown, the intended receiver. Take a look just at the end of it as you see Anderson and Brown.
Looks like he bumped him a little bit on the catch, but the ball bounced off the ground clearly. That ball would have been a 20-yard gain, but Walsh threw it 50 yards, going from one corner of the field to the other. It seemed to hang in the air forever.
Two receivers left side. He's got Gary and Conley set back. Walsh back to pass, throwing over the middle, and Andre Brown makes the catch at the 10-yard line. Andre Brown catching that one in a lot of traffic with Lenny Williams right there with him defensively. Let's look at it from behind the goal line.
Well, lots of traffic in the middle of the field down at the open end of the field. I thought this one was going to get picked off. You see Lee Durham, the linebacker, falls down right in front of Andre Brown. Great catch by Andre. Great catch here. Watch Andre Brown come up with a ball between three defenders.
He just pushed Lenny Williams really out of the way and made that catch. Walsh swings this one out to Cleveland Gary. He slips and now is tackled and thrown down on the far side of the field by Craig Anderson. And again, the wet footing underneath caused Cleveland Gary to lose his footing for just a moment. On that last pass play, you saw really that time Steve Walsh get a lot on that pass, throwing off the wrong foot. He was off balance when he threw it.
I think he's much stronger this year than he was a year ago, even from the start of the season. Spent a lot of time in the weight room, and you can see the development in Steve Walsh.
He does. He has developed a good throwing arm. Back to pass again. Throws complete at the 10-yard line, and this time it is Kelleher, the tight end. Tackled by Lenny Williams. Ball just inside the 10, and we'll take another look at this one.
Just a typical pro pass, the tight end on a quick flash in the flats. You can see the wide receiver on a slant to the inside. Linebacker right there to make the tackle. Limiting it to a pretty short game.
Gain of just about a yard, no more. It'll be 3rd and 9. I believe the Canes could. No, I don't believe they could either. They could not get a first down without scoring a touchdown, I don't think. Walsh back. Plenty of time. Going to the far corner of the end zone, and it is incomplete, intended for Randall Hill. Well, that would have been a thrill if Hill had caught that one. There was a lot of traffic over there as well. Also, Andre Brown was there.
You said it right. There's a lot of traffic out there. There's not good separation between the receivers. Craig Anderson, number 27, makes a good play in there. Actually, both Hurricanes break up the pass.
Hill and Andre Brown were both there, and here comes Huerta for the field goal attempt. He's made 1 out of 3. The 2 he has missed, though, have been for long yardage. One was a 57-yarder, so don't count that against Carlos Huerta. Kalau will hold. 27-yard attempt. Flags are thrown. The kick is good, but penalty markers have been thrown, and let's sort the penalty out. The kick split the uprights, but penalty flags were thrown from both sides of the field. Offsides, Tulsa. Kick is good, and Miami now leads by a score of 27-0 over the Golden Hurricane of Tulsa. We'll be right back after this time out on Sports Channel Florida. Edgar Bennis to kick off. Penalty assessed on the kick, so he kicked from the 40, and again they're going to try to bring it out. And that is out to the 23-yard line. Ball brought out in the hands of Ron Beasley. So Beasley bringing it from the end zone out to the 23. And that's where the Golden Hurricane will put it in play. The last scoring drive for Miami in 9 plays, 52 yards. We're at a 27-yard field goal. 3 minutes and 26 seconds, the time of possession. First down, Tulsa. Rubley dropping straight back, throwing, and completing to Bitson. And he brings it out across the 30 to the 31. Shane Curry and Bernard Clark in on the tackle. That was not Bitson. That was number 22, Denny Maloney, receiving the pass from Rubley.
The short passing game. There's Rubley reading it, throwing underneath to his halfback out of the backfield in control. Donnie Maloney makes a great move right there. Stutter steps, gets upfield. Excellent individual effort.
Second down at about a yard. Ball is spotted down at the 31. Miami leading 27-0. Rubley pitches the ball out to Maloney, and Maloney is brought down short of the first down. He's brought down right at the line of scrimmage. Randy Shannon coming in from his outside linebacking spot, along with Eric Miller, the defensive right end for the Hurricanes. Eric Miller, just a freshman out of Palm Beach Gardens High School. 6'4", 228 pounds, only a freshman. Number 95, you see him right there in your picture, right-hand side of the screen. Third down and a yard. I formation. Receivers split right and left. And Maloney and the man in motion. Rubley throwing and incomplete, intended for Bitson. That is a play really, Jim Mandich, that should have worked for the Golden Hurricane.
Well, Rubley was so intent on getting his tailback moved over into the trip position that when he came back and tried to throw the ball to his wide receiver, he never looked at it. You can see Rubley right here. He never really plants his foot and throws the ball at Bitson. It just comes up short at his feet. As you mentioned, Frank, the play was wide open.
Should have worked. They should have had a first down. Danny Phelps will do the punting for the Golden Hurricane. Rushes on. He gets away a good kick. And at the 30-yard line, it is taken, and Darrell Spencer is driven back. They have had good coverage, the Golden Hurricane have, on punts. They've had good coverage downfield.
Well, we're going to have a roughing the kicker call here. With the referee signifying and first down for the Tulsa Ball Club. That's very discouraging for a defense. You do a good job, 3 and out, you get the team to kick, and then your special teams makes a mistake like that. Just takes a little bit out of you. Physically and, more importantly, psychologically it'll take something out of you because you've gone over the sidelines. No, you got at least 4 downs, get a little rest, but right away you're back on the field. And you got to hold them for another 4 downs. On the other hand, Tulsa gets a breath of life here. They get 3 more shots, the Hurricane defense.
They'll start it at their own 35-yard line, 1st and 10. Maloney splits wide to the left side along with Eric Harrison. Rubley sends a man in motion. That is Archie Malloy. And it is incomplete. Overthrowing Bitson on the far sideline with Charles Farms defending for the University of Miami.
This just misses. I'll tell you, you can see what a special athlete Bitson is when you see him run right here. Look at him separate himself from the defense. He made a mistake there. He tried to pull it in with 1. I think the good receivers all have to extend the 2 hands, put 2 hands on it. He could have done it in that case.
437 total yards for Miami, 140 for Tulsa. Miami leads 27-0. A little under a minute left to go in the 3rd quarter here at the Orange Bowl. Maloney in motion to the left side. Rubley in trouble. Throws incomplete, and what a hit. Number 22, Shannon, put on the intended receiver, Brett Adams. Let's look at this one again.
Well, Rubley has made some decisions that are questionable here, and I'm sure Brett Adams is questioning his wisdom here and throwing this one. Look at Randy Shannon drill him right in the jaw.
I could feel that one all the way up here.
If I were Mr. Adams, I think I'd have a little chat with Mr. Rubley on the plane back to Tulsa this evening.
Well, they're both sophomores. They both have a lot to learn.
As in, don't ever do that again.
Well, you were a receiver. Do you ever have that chat with your quarterback? Flag goes down. Rubley goes down for a loss back to the 25-yard line. Willis Pegues came blasting through to throw Rubley down for a long loss. But a penalty marker has been thrown. In fact, I see two of them on the field. And Mike Dober will let us know that Miami was offside. How about that? You were always a tight end receiver. You ever had a little talk with your quarterback once in a while?
I'll get to that in just a second. My quarterback was Bob Greasy. We're going to see this play again here. And you can see the Miami player in the neutral zone right there. And I mentioned Bob Greasy was the quarterback that I worked with. You've worked with Bob.
Oh, yeah.
Quite frankly, I couldn't ever get too bad at Bob Greasy, Frank. He's such a quality guy, and he made so many great throws that there weren't many instances where he made a wrong decision.
Really first class all the way. Ball at the 40-yard line. Rubley back to pass, throwing down the middle. No, it is no good. Almost intercepted, and could have been by Bobby Hart. Hart had a chance. Look at him shake his head. He knows he had an excellent chance to intercept that one and perhaps run it back all the way for a touchdown. Miami leading 27-0. How about prior to that? What about at Michigan?
Let's see. At Michigan, I had a couple quarterbacks. Don Moorhead was one. He played in the Canadian Football League. And then Don Brown was another quarterback.
How soon we forget? Phelps kick, a line drive kick this time. Taken on the run by Spencer. And again, pretty good coverage. But Spencer trying to break loose is brought down at the 38-yard line. Spencer finally written down by Rod Wilson of the special teams.
I love these kamikazes on the special teams. It takes a special guy. This is Spencer is earning his scholarship money right here. Jimmy Johnson would say, get your nose pointed at the goal line, though. He does a good job. Does a very good job on the punt return.
Rod Wilson climbed his back. Well, the ball in midfield here at the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. 1st and 10 for the Hurricanes as we start the fourth quarter. Miami leading by a score of 27-0. Craig Erickson has come in at quarterback after 3 quarters of action by Steve Walsh. Now, Erickson, a sophomore from Cardinal Newman High School, a native of Atlantis, Florida, 6'2", 195 pounds. There he is, number 7. They keep the ball on the ground as he gives to Highsmith, and Highsmith inside the 45 to the 43-yard line. Number 31, Fred Highsmith, senior from Andrew Jackson High School in Jacksonville.
Good job by Ron Holder and Barry Pample here. Open a gigantic hole. Highsmith makes a good read on the play. Good lead block by the tailback back, putting him in a good second down situation.
Well, it's one thing to open those holes, and credit should be due certainly Holder and others for that, but also credit to the running back to see that hole and take advantage of it. Now this is Shannon Crowell hurdling tacklers and finally brought down inside the 30 at the 27-yard line. Shannon Crowell tackled by Richard Wales. And we'll take another look.
They give it to Crowell. Good lead block by Fred Highsmith. You mentioned the vision. Watch the vision here. He cuts inside the block of Freddie Highsmith right there. Lunges for extra yardage. You make an excellent point, Frank, that one of the intangibles of a running back to measure is his ability to have great vision in front of him.
Erickson still has it. Looking for a receiver. Plenty of time. Throwing to the end zone. Touchdown. Touchdown, Andre Brown. Boy, it didn't take Erickson long to get his feet wet and get into the swing of things, did it? As he fires to Andre Brown for the touchdown. And we'll take another look at this play.
This is very good to see from Craig Erickson. Look at the gun he has for an arm. He launches a rocket right there. Andre Brown, almost surprised to find himself so wide open, hits him in the numbers, bounces off, but he's able to bring it in for the touch.
33-0, and Huerta to try to make it 34-zip. Out of Timmy Colal's hold. And the extra point attempt is good. So we have 14:08 left to play here at the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. The Canes lead 34-0 over Tulsa. We'll be back. Don't go away. We're back. I'm Frank Messer along with Jim Mandich at the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida, where the Hurricanes now lead the University of Tulsa 34-0. And Edgar Bennis will kick off. Jimmy Johnson just a little bit on the playing area. He's got only 10 men out there on the field for one thing. Nobby's got 11 men out there, but now he's going to substitute one. He wants to send Kenny Berry out onto the field in place of Bubba McDowell. I thought maybe he only had 10 the way Jimmy was acting. He did have 11, but there was one that he didn't want out there.
Well, I don't think he wants to risk one of his best athletes on defense, Bubba McDowell, on the special teams when the score is 34-0.
Right, as you call it, the kamikaze squad. Bennis kick. Did it go out of bounds before it went to the end zone? Nope, it went into the end zone and not out of bounds, so it'll be brought out to the 20, and that's where Tulsa will put the football in play. Well, coming into this football game, the University of Miami had averaged 457 yards per game. There's the scoring drive, 4 plays, 62 yards, just a second less than a minute. Andre Brown taking a 27-yard touchdown pass from Craig Erickson. So the scoring's been even up. The Canes scored 17 points in the first half. They scored 17 here in the second half, but we still have a little better than 14 minutes left to play. Rubley throwing, and it is incomplete. Intended for Bitson. For the Hurricanes, that was a flat-out foot race. I'll tell you something, I think if Bitson had caught that one, he might have got all the way with it.
Well, this is a tough job for Bubba McDowell. You see him one-on-one on Bitson there. The Hurricanes had a blitz on. There's a yellow flag down on the field again. I think they're going to march some yardage off against Tulsa, or at least have the opportunity. They deny the penalty there.
Penalty was against Tulsa and refused by Miami. The Hurricanes take the play, the down, instead of the penalty. So it will be 2nd and 10 from the 20-yard line. With all the passing in the football game, it has been an extended game as far as length of time played is concerned. Rubley remains a quarterback, young man from Davenport, Iowa. Does a man in motion to the right, throws left, lob pass, and it is caught over on the far side, completed to the 41-yard line to Bitson, and Bubba McDowell, one-on-one with Bitson, drives him out of bounds.
This is an interesting game of chess they're playing. You can see Miami, Tiger Clark blitzing. They go to one-on-one again. Bitson against Bubba McDowell. That's a tough assignment. Miami can't keep putting Bubba McDowell in that situation. He's not going to win a lot of those one-on-ones against an athlete the quality of Dan Bitson.
1st and 10 at the 42-yard line. Hurricanes of Miami lead the Golden Hurricane of Tulsa 34-0. 13:57 left to go in the game. Pitch back and reversing his field, going back the other way, Ron Beasley to the 45-yard line, and Bubba McDowell runs Beasley down and decks him at the 45. A gain of 3 on the play.
Well, Beasley's lucky he doesn't get trapped for a big loss here. Greg Mark in perfect position. He reverses his field. He's able to get back to the line of scrimmage and a little bit more. That's pretty nifty running there.
Ball at the 45. It'll be 2nd and 7 for Tulsa. T.J. Rubley, 13 out of 31. Back again. And this time chased down and sacked. Maurice Crum ran him down for the sack. Second sack, I believe, Jim Mandich, for Crum in the football game.
Well, I think Maurice almost beats Rubley back to his where he's trying to throw the ball from. He is so quick, and that's a big loss, a 13-yard loss there. We've seen Rubley do a pretty good job when he recognizes that blitz, getting the ball to Bitson.
Tulsa has 1 sack. Miami now has 3 sacks, throwing the Tulsa quarterback, Rubley, in each case for losses totaling 26 yards. Rubley throws this time incomplete, intended for Bitson. Dan Bitson, the intended receiver, and Crum defending for Miami.
Miami defenders having a lot of fun right now. They smell shutout. They're not going to let the ball get into Bitson right there. That's Tiger Clark sitting right in the middle. He's a little bit of a rover. He's free in that situation to help out with anybody that was in trouble. Maurice Crum was trailing Bitson in that situation.
Bitson was in trouble. Phelps kicks, gets a good kick away. Spencer at the 21-yard line. Looks for running room, doesn't find it, and is driven down hard by Eric Bennett. So the Hurricanes of Miami will put the ball in play rather deep in their own territory, but they have a 34-0 lead over Tulsa. No gain credited on the return. Spencer has not had many opportunities to return. Well, he's had quite a few opportunities, but he has been hemmed in for the most part by a good downfield rush by Tulsa. So Miami at its own 20-yard line, and Erickson pitches the ball out to Highsmith, who carries out to the 30 and may have a first down. Richard Wales makes the stop for Tulsa. Wales, a sophomore, surprise starter this afternoon. First and 10 for the Hurricanes as Highsmith picks up the first down. Dawkins will split out to the right side. And Pee Wee Smith, a wide receiver now to the left side. Erickson dropping back and looking. Throwing and complete over the middle to Highsmith. Highsmith tackled at the 39-yard line by Eric Bennett. 11:30 left to go in the football game.
Erickson reading the levels right here. The passing game is a matter of separation. All the linebackers are dropped off, so he takes the lower level. Gets it into Freddie Highsmith and gets a good, that's good individual effort. Gets a good +9 on a first down situation.
2nd and 1. Dawkins left side, and they give the football to Highsmith, and Highsmith brings it out to midfield. Highsmith playing with a vengeance, brought down by Lee Durham, sophomore linebacker from Houston, Texas, 6'3", 212 pounds. Freddie Highsmith running hard.
Reads it well, the sprint draw, little counter action right there. There's the tight end, Kelleher. Good block on the linebacker, and then Freddie Highsmith in the open field does a good job on his own.
Kelleher really did open that hole up, didn't he? 1st and 10 at midfield. Pee Wee Smith splits left. Erickson looking right, looking for Dawkins. Hits Dawkins at the 40, and Dawkins is hit at the 40-yard line by Eric Bars. They needed to just cross the 40 for the first down, and we'll see if I don't think he quite made it.
This is the 10-yard O-cut. Erickson, you can see the strength of his arm right there. He has no problem making the O-cut. There's Dawkins making a good catch. Paying the price a little bit, but keeping on his feet. Fine wide receiver.
He's fallen straight forward. When he made the catch, he would have had the first down, but he is pushed back, and now Highsmith will pick up the first down on the ground as he gets the football inside the 35-yard line. Freddie Highsmith. On the tackle for Tulsa, Mike Rossa, a third-string defensive end.
The effectiveness of his rushing attack is going to be very pleasing to Jimmy Johnson. It's been the problem for him all year. This is the best game that the Hurricanes have had rushing the football.
Dawkins split wide to the left side. The give is to Highsmith. This time he does not find running room. And a shoestring tackle by Lenny Williams again. Also helping in on the play for Tulsa was Earl Johnson, a defensive end. Miami now has 224 yards rushing in the football game. Erickson back to pass. Look at that protection. He'll run it himself. Looking for running room and sticks his head down and goes to the 30. Lee Durham makes the tackle out of Houston, Texas, a sophomore linebacker. We talk about Miami with well over 220 yards rushing in the football game. Here's that last play.
Well, Erickson shows his inexperience here, Frank. As a senior, he'll learn to work on his hook slide a little bit later and not try to take on those linebackers.
Leonard Conley, if you weren't with us all the way, were not with us when we mentioned it before, Conley has over 120 yards himself. Erickson back to pass. Flag is thrown. Holding will probably be the call. And very possibly against Miami. Pass intended for Pee Wee Smith, incomplete, and holding against the Hurricanes. 9:07 left in the football game. I don't recall exactly how many yards Conley did pick up, but it seems to me off the top of my head he had somewhere around 120, well over 100.
It was right around 120 yards and 13 or 14 carries. Very good yards per carry average.
117, our statistician informs me officially. What a day Conley has had. And as you mentioned, for a morale builder, the young man from Tarpon Springs High School really needed a game like this.
He never got down on himself, Frank. That was the key.
That was very good. That is to his credit, certainly. Erickson back to pass again, looking right, throwing deep down the right sidelines, incomplete, out of bounds. Intended for Pee Wee Smith. Eric Bars defending for Tulsa. So Tulsa takes over the football on downs. Golden Hurricane will have the football at their own 30-yard line, 1st and 10. And right now, time for Hurricane history. Who holds the Hurricane record for the most field goals in a season? We'll have the answer for you in just a moment or two. We will have the answer in just a moment or two. Right now, 1st and 10 at the 30 for Tulsa. Rubley gives the ball to his running back, and no gain at all as Ron Beasley is chased laterally across the field and dropped right at the line of scrimmage. Give you a little chance to think about that. Who does hold the Hurricane record for the most field goals in a season? We have so much talk about Carlos Huerta this year and the great foot he has put into the football. Miami penalized for face guard infraction. So the yardage marked off to the 35-yard line. 5-yard penalty against Miami. Face guard. And we'll see if we can see the face mask grabbed here.
Looks like Willis Pegues getting in there a little bit late. Rick Newbill in there as well.
1st and 5 for Tulsa. And on a flea flicker, back to Rubley, looking downfield, throws, it is complete. But really not that much yardage gain as he had 2 men open. Dan Bitson made the catch, but he had men open all the way down around the Miami 20-yard line and didn't see him.
Another penalty.
And another penalty flag is thrown. Newbill was in defensively for the University of Miami.
There's a lateral. And let's see. I believe the call is 2 forward passes on 1 play.
That is what it is.
There's a second forward pass.
2 forward passes on the attempted flea flicker penalizes Tulsa back to the 30. All right, let's go to the answer. The Hurricane record for most field goals in a season, who holds it? Dan Miller. 1981, he kicked 18. field goal. And so goes our Hurricane history for today. The ball at the 28-yard line. 2nd and 12. A long 12 yards for Tulsa. Kane showing blitz. And they do rush the passer. And they're going to sack him. He will be sacked by Cortez Kennedy. Well, Kennedy showed he was going to put the blitz on, and he didn't change his mind even on the long count by quarterback T.J. Rubley. And Cortez Kennedy out of Wilson, Arkansas. There he is right there. You watch him right in the middle of your screen, number 96.
That's the swim technique. They can't even hold him to keep him away from T.J. Rubley. Great individual effort.
Cortez, a big man, 295 pounds, 6'3", from Wilson, Arkansas. How'd you like to have that guy trying to run over you?
I don't think I'd like that.
No, sir. I wouldn't like that even if I was in shape and a century younger.
His 4th tackle for a loss this year.
Oh, look at this play. And this time, it is Eric Miller who grabs Monty Rice about the time Rice got the handoff. Rice didn't have a chance to wrap up that football before Eric Miller was on him. Watch it.
Eric Miller tries to tear his head off right here. Look at this. Ooh. His Adam's apple is going to feel a little funny tomorrow morning when he wakes up, right?
There's a freshman from Palm Beach Gardens High School, Eric Miller. Belts the kick from back around the goal line, gets a low snap from center, does a good job of getting the kick away. Spencer goes to the 40, goes to the 35.
It's loose.
Ball is loose, and Tulsa says they have it. Well, let's see who does come out with the football. It looks like it might be Tulsa football. And coming out with it, number 89, that is Eddie Davis. Eddie Davis recovers for Tulsa. We'll be back after this time out on Sports Channel Florida. Miami 34-0 over Tulsa. All right, Tulsa, after recovering the fumble, Miami leading 34-0. The Golden Hurricane will put the ball in play at their own 37-yard line. And the Miami Hurricanes jump off sides. Were they drawn off sides, though? That is the question to be answered by the officials. Nope, they'll walk off 5 yards against Tulsa. A walk-off. All right, let's look at the fumble and the recovery once again.
Spencer does a good job of getting upfield. It's when he turns sideways, the ball is exposed. They're stripping the ball all the way. You can see the Tulsa Golden Hurricane pouncing on a loose ball.
And I believe it was Eddie Davis who came up with it for Tulsa. No penalty against Miami, and Tulsa now at the 42-yard line. And nothing. Thrown for a loss. Ron Beasley thrown for a loss by Cortez Kennedy again, along with Eric Miller.
Well, the defensive line for Miami is smelling blood right now. And you can see Cortez Kennedy getting on Beasley right there. Great play.
Eric Miller had a hand on him, and Kennedy put him down.
You can see Cortez Kennedy again.
In 26 carries, excuse me, Jim, in 26 carries on the ground, Tulsa has minus 9 yards. Can you believe that? This is Beasley again, and it's going to be minus 4 as Beasley is thrown for a loss. Now the other side of the line gets in there. Willis Pegues, along with Kevin Harris, coming in from the left side. And a flag is down on this play. Let's see what this one is all about. Personal foul against Miami, and that will be a first down for Tulsa. So you talk about being aggressive and smelling that shutout, perhaps just a little bit too aggressive at the moment, Jim.
Yeah, there were little fisticuffs going on the far side of the field right there. Miami's defense has completely dominated Tulsa this afternoon, Frank. And it started up front. We said one of the problems for Tulsa going into the ball game was their patchwork offensive line. Miami, with their veteran offensive line, with their depth at offensive line, has dominated the line of scrimmage all day.
Big smiles over there from Craig Erickson. Randy Bethel, number 93, caught a couple of touchdown passes today. He's a happy young man. As the Hurricanes now see Beasley racing downfield into Miami territory across the 35. Charles Farms ran him down inside the 35-yard line. And it looks like 3 substitutions for Miami coming in.
High formation. Beasley's got good vision right there. The Miami defensive line so much upfield conscious right there that all you need is a little crack in that line and you can get some yardage, as Beasley demonstrated there with that fine carry.
Jimmy Johnson sends the first-string defensive line back in. Hawkins and Greg Mark are 2 of them. Beasley carries again, gets a block, but gets very little yardage after he got a nice block over there from Brian Kane. It was Greg Mark who made the tackle. Ball will be put down inside the 35-yard line. Some happy University of Miami folks here. Homecoming for the University of Miami. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Hurricanes have won their last 5 homecoming games in a row. Tulsa, 141 yards total. Miami, 318. All of Tulsa's plus yardage has come on passes. They are held to minus yardage rushing just a moment ago. Rubley back and throws. It is complete, but not for much. The pass is taken by James Chandler, a reserve fullback. And Bill Hawkins in on the tackle for Miami. Right now we have a timeout, an official's timeout on the field.
Everything Tulsa is doing right now is in reaction to that ferocious rush by Miami. We saw the quick hitter. Here we see the screen play, trying to take advantage of the separation between the hard-charging defensive linemen and the linebackers backing off in coverage. Here's another look at it. Rubley running for his life, even in this situation. A lot of guys in front of it, but nobody blocking for the carrier there, Frank.
Finally, the tackle made by Bill Hawkins. Good pursuit by Hawkins. Officials still discussing things amongst themselves on the playing field. Miami leading 34-0 over Tulsa. 3 minutes and 55 seconds left to play in the football game here at the Orange Bowl in Miami. One of the officials comes to the sideline. Perhaps a clock problem, I don't know. But it is an official's timeout. Miami is off next week. Then it's down to Baton Rouge to take on LSU. And then the final 2 games, there's Steve Walsh on the sideline. He's through for the day. Walsh 22 out of 39 today for 263 yards and 3 touchdowns.
He got started late in the Heisman balloting this year. He wasn't one of the preseason picks, Frank, and I think it's very tough to come from out of the pack and get the Heisman. But next year, the situation will be Walsh will be the favorite going in. It will be his Heisman to lose when he comes back for his final year next year with the Miami Hurricanes.
Walsh has the next touchdown pass that Walsh throws, and you can believe that in 3 more games to play, he will throw quite a few more. But his next touchdown pass will be a new Miami record. He now has 26 for the year, tying Testaverde.
And as I said, he's on a roll. He's got 20 touchdown passes in the last 5 games. That's 4 a game.
All right, right now, with time still out on the playing field, let's take this time out on Sports Channel Florida. Miami leads 34-0. Well, the problem here is with the clock, and I believe they finally do have it reset at 4 minutes and 8 seconds. You ever think, Jim Mandich, that mercifully they ought to have a switch that would speed a clock up in a football game?
I think there is a thing there where the coaches can agree on both sides not to stop the clock and accelerate the game. We've seen that in a couple of instances this year.
Rubley throwing. It is complete inside the 20-yard line. And making the reception, Archie Malloy. Sophomore wide receiver from Colorado Springs. Roland Smith put him down. And here it is again.
Well, the Miami defense is swarming. You know right now they want the shutout. With 3 minutes and 52 seconds left and the score 34-0, they want to keep them out of the end zone.
Well, it is a 1st and 10 for Tulsa at the Miami 20-yard line. Beasley carries, gets a yard, maybe 2, and is hauled down from behind. Get on the tackle for the University of Miami, Russell, Maryland, along with Matt Britton, a middle linebacker. Matt Britton, freshman from Columbus High School here in Miami. Big kid, good size, 6'3", 224 pounds.
His nickname is Battering Ram. I think that says something about his temperament, Frank.
All right. Well, he's got a long way to go, just a freshman. 3 more years to play, I guess, here at Miami. Rushes on, passes thrown, and it is incomplete. That one, it looked like we almost hit Roland Smith in the back as he was defending over there against Archie Malloy. I think if Roland had turned around real quick, the ball would have hit him right in the midsection.
Miami was in a bear situation there, 46 blitz. And DJ Rubley read it properly. He went to the one-on-one situation. He didn't have a lot of time to set up and fire it there, and he missed connection.
Hey, you say bear situation, which reminds us we'd like to send along a speedy recovery wish, certainly, to Mike Ditka, the head coach of the Chicago Bears, recovering from a heart attack. Passes thrown deep to the end zone and incomplete. Incomplete over the head of the intended receiver, and Roland Smith was defending. They threw a flag. That was an uncatchable pass.
Well, Roland Smith is going to be called for interference. There's no question about it.
Well, pass was uncatchable, I think.
And I think that's what they're conferring about right now.
I think they may change it. And I believe they will. I think they will nullify that call. Nope. There's the interference call. Well, there was no way he was going to catch that pass over there, I don't think. You look at it and see what you think. Is that pass catchable or not?
Bitson?
I don't think it is.
I don't think he could catch it in bounds.
No way. I don't think Bitson could have caught that in bounds. And they nullify it. It will be nullified. Good call. Not because it's the penalty was against Miami, but I think in all fairness, it was a good call to nullify the flag.
And just to remind our viewers out there is no instant replay review in college football. That was just agreed upon between the officials on the field. And it was a good call. And it's amazing, Frank, how many... It is amazing to me how many times the officials do make the right call, even in this situation. You can see that ball hit 6 yards out of bounds right there.
Now, in this case, I don't think there's any question that Smith did interfere with the intended receiver, but there was no way that Bitson, the intended receiver, was going to catch the football inbound.
That's correct. Roland Smith, fine young cornerback out of Miami Northwestern High School. They think a lot of them, the Miami coaches do. And he's the heir apparent, number 29, Donnie Ellis's slot, as the wide corner or the cover corner.
Tulsa's going to go for the field goal to get on the scoreboard, or so it would appear. They send David Peace, their place kicker. David Peace is out on the field to try a field goal. It will be a 35-yard attempt as they try to get on the scoreboard. Placed down by Phelps. The kick is in the air, and the kick is good. So Tulsa will not be shut out here in the Orange Bowl. They go for 3 points, and Miami now leads by a score of 34-3. And I'm not sure about that. Now, what does that do for the Tulsa football team, putting the 3 points up on the scoreboard, Jim Mandich?
Well, it does nothing more than to avoid a shutout, Frank. The embarrassment of a shutout. And for Miami, it takes the shutout off the board. And I'm sure as we look down the way here at the University of Miami, coaches Dave Wanstead and his assistant, Butch Davis, and others, I'm sure that they're very disappointed that they will not come out of this ballgame with the big goose egg on the board.
I'm a little surprised that Tulsa goes for the field goal.
No question.
Are you?
A more classy situation, you see them go for it in the 4th down situation and try to make the first down or make a touchdown.
Now there's the man who made the decision, Dave Rader, 31 years old, youngest coach in Division 1A in the nation, and very highly regarded not only by the people in Tulsa, but at a party I attended last night, some glowing words from Sam Jankovich, the athletic director at the University of Miami, directed toward the entire Tulsa operation.
That's Melvin Bratton, one of the leaders last year on the national championship team. Made so many great plays for the University of Miami, out of Miami Northwestern High School. And like so many others who have graduated from this program, very close still to Jimmy Johnson, the coaches, and the young players there. Weekly, Alonzo Highsmith will call in. Kevin Fagan will call in from the 49ers. Real tradition being built here at the University of Miami right now. Melvin Bratton, a big part of it.
Tulsa scoring drive, 12 plays, 46 yards, 5 minutes, 48 seconds, culminated by the 35-yard field goal by Feast. Hill on the far side to accept the kick. On the near side, Spencer, and John Stuckey's foot hits the football. And it will be spotted down at the 32, 33-yard line. So Miami will have at least one more series. 3 minutes left to go exactly in the football game. Miami leading Tulsa 34-3.
This is sometimes called a pooch kick, Frank, where they just try to lay it in the soft spots in there, and occasionally you get the good bounce, as almost happened right there.
And occasionally you'll make the other team forget it's a kickoff and not a punt and a free football until it is covered. All right, they keep the ball on the ground, do the Hurricanes, and drive it out to the 34-yard line. Shannon Crowell is the ball carrier. He'll get off the bottom of that pile, along with center Rod Holder. Good to see Holder getting a lot of playing time. Jimmy Johnson would love to have his experience at center down the stretch against LSU, Arkansas, and Brigham Young, the three remaining opponents. Erickson at quarterback for the Canes. Blitz is on. Erickson drops, gets protection, throws, complete to Dawkins on the far side, and Dawkins wisely comes back not to go out of bounds and force the stoppage of the clock. Play will be stopped at the 49-yard line. Eric Bars on the tackle for Tulsa. There's a good play either way. If you're down trying to run a 2-minute drill, Dawkins receives that ball and he goes out of bounds to stop the clock. Here, when you want to run the clock out with a 31-point lead and 2 minutes to play, he comes back the other way and keeps the clock going. Ball stays on the ground. Crowell carrying, spins away from one tackler, and is dumped at the Tulsa 45-yard line. Chris Briscoe out of Wichita, Kansas. Free safety, sophomore, in to make the tackle. And again, we have penalty markers on the field.
And again, for the second week in a row, the officials really dropping a lot of flags against the University of Miami.
This time it's holding called against the Hurricanes. And the ball will be marked back.
That flag came from the back judge, and he generally is eyeballing the tight end. Coming off on his release, I'd bet $1 to a donut, Frank, that call was against the tight end right there. I was always very cognizant of where that back judge was and exactly what he was looking at.
I was going to say, I bet you knew every back judge in the league very well. Maybe not on speaking terms. All right, my partner Jim Mandich for the one person who may not be initiated, an excellent tight end throughout his playing career. All right, the pass is complete to Crowell. Crowell is hit hard at the 45-yard line by Richard Wales, an inside linebacker. Wales just flipped him up in the air and down, and Crowell bounces right back up again. A minute and 20 seconds left to play. Miami leading 34-3 over Tulsa. Second down and 13 yards to go for the Hurricanes. This will be Miami's 32nd win in homecoming games, if you're interested in that, and you're probably not. And Shannon Crowell carries again for no gain. Miami will be 32-21-2 in homecoming games after this one. be the 6th consecutive homecoming win for Miami. The Hurricanes will end the evening with a record of 7 wins and 1 loss. And Tulsa will wind up the evening with a record of 2 wins and 6 losses. There's the story. Clock counting down toward the 20-second mark as Erickson drops back. Good protection, throwing deep downfield. And it is intercepted. Intercepted by Tulsa. And back to make the interception for the Golden Hurricane, Eric Bars.
I don't think they're going to call that one an interception. I think he picks it off out of bounds.
Did he pick it off out of bounds?
Yeah, I think Bars